Previously in chapters 1681 to 1700, Wang Lin discovers a secret passage leading directly to the immortal astral continent. He uses the Li Guang Bao to shatter the entrance of the outer realm and Apos' ancient celestial realm, slaughtering numerous celestials and driving back the sovereign with a hidden drop of celestial blood. Subsequently, he is rescued by the first concubine, Fan Shanlu, and taken aboard the Soul Devil ship. There he sees through Fan Shanming's great soul true illusion seizes control of the ship and claims the ghost face sail. Wang Lin also uncovers the secret of the seven-colored celestial sovereign and Apos' 3 souls and 7 fragments, realizing that Qing Shui is one of the fragments. Finally, he finds the 7-colored Taoist trapped in an illusion and decides to use his dream Tao to infiltrate and uncover the ultimate truth. Waves of aura of that could make all life tremble spread out from the 7-colored Taoist. As it spread out, the fierce beasts would retreat in panic before they could even get close. This aura frightened them greatly. This aura was even stronger than the heaven's might. No life dared to come near it. It was powerful enough to make heaven and earth to tremble in fear from its might. The reason there were so many fierce beast corpses around the 7-colored Taoist was likely because they had been killed before he entered the illusion. Wang Lin was a bold man. At this moment his eyes narrowed. After pondering a bit, he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. This blood turned into a total of 99 drops. Each drop contained the aura of his cultivation. His eyes became serious as he waved his sleeves and one drop flew out, floating before his forehead. Immortal ancient, as Wang Lin muttered. All his ancient power surged and gathered on this drop of blood along with a sliver of his origin soul. The drop of blood immediately became crystal clear. It now looked like a crystal. After being fused with Wang Lin's ancient power, this drop of blood gave off a bright red glow. Wang Lin let out a breath and the drop of blood flew forward. The remaining 98 drops surrounded it, forming a halo of blood. Under the protection of the halo, it flew within 1,000 feet of the 7-colored Taoist. The moment it came within 1,000 feet of him, the blood halo formed by 98 drops of blood silently disintegrated, leaving only the drop filled with ancient power. However, they had resisted the first wave of destruction for that drop of blood. This drop of blood instantly flew hundreds of feet. During this time it was destroyed tens of thousands of times, but it immediately recovered due to the ancient power. In an instant, this drop of blood was within 100 feet of the 7-colored Taoist. Once it reached this point, the ancient power recovery wasn't able to keep up. The drop of blood rapidly dissipated until only a sliver remained. This sliver of blood could still be seen by the naked eye, but if one wasn't careful, it would be easy to miss. This sliver contained a part of Wang Lin's origin soul, so the constant destruction sent pain that made Wang Lin's expression become twisted. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The moment the trace of blood was destroyed, it penetrated the last 100 feet and landed between the 7-colored Taoist's eyebrows. The moment the blood dissipated, the strand of origin soul inside touched the 7-colored Taoist's body. 1,000 feet away, Wang Lin closed his eyes and let out a soft murmur. Dream Tao. With these 2 words, Wang Lin's mind trembled and everything in his mind collapsed. As it all collapsed, a 7-colored light appeared and took his mind, causing it to sink into the endless abyss. This was a world of 7 colors. The sky was 7-colored, the earth was 7-colored, and even the clouds were 7-colored. There were many mountains on the earth, and Wang Lin appeared standing on the peak of a mountain. After a brief moment of confusion, he immediately looked around. This is the illusion the 7-colored Taoist is in. Wang Lin carefully spread out his divine sense as he silently pondered. He flew forward and the pieces of the earth flashed by. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin suddenly stopped and looked ahead. He saw a person sitting on the mountain head. This person was the 7-colored Taoist. He was sitting there with his eyes opened. He was looking at the sky and his expression seemed somewhat dull. Around his body floated 9 fist-sized balls of light that were like flames. These were the 9 firebirds or suns. They were the 7-colored Taoist's cultivation and treasure. Shanmeng. I remember your name is Fan Shanmeng, the 7-colored Taoist muttered. Wang Lin looked at the seven-colored Taoist in the distance and revealed a strange expression. He had heard what the seven-colored Taoist had said, but the seven-colored Taoist doesn't seem to notice him. After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Could it be an illusion within an illusion? A moment later, Wang Lin carefully stepped toward the seven-colored Taoist. He soon arrived under the mountain and was 1,000 feet from the seven-colored Taoist. Staring at the seven-colored Taoist, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a decisive gaze. His right hand reached out and took out the ghostly face sail from his storage space. Although he didn't know what it did and hadn't refined it completely, he had fused his divine sense into it. After taking out the sail, Wang Lin sat down and waved it. The moment Wang Lin controlled it, the sail wrapped around his body and flew forward with his origin soul. Wang Lin's origin soul left his body and entered the sail. The sail seemed to break through the void and rushed toward the seven-colored Taoist. The sail opened up in the sky and the ghostly face gradually turned into Wang Lin's face, and the seven-colored Taoist looked at it with his dazed eyes. At this instant, Wang Lin's vision suddenly darkened. The seven-colored Taoist's eyes were like black holes and immediately pulled him in. Enter! Wang Lin sent out an order when a thunderous rumble followed by a familiar, mad laughter entered his ears. The darkness before him seemed to be ripped open by some strange force, and what happened before him was a place filled with collapsed pagodas. With all the ruins of the towering pagodas, it looked like a sect. That familiar laughter belonged to a middle-aged man with long hair wearing a gray robe. This middle-aged man was handsome and his eyes were cold. He exuded a sense of pride that could be felt by everyone from the bottom of their hearts. At this moment he raised his right hand. There was a giant pagoda before him. Just as he was about to break the pagoda, it collapsed and seven-colored light flashed from within. An angry person walked out. When Wang Lin took a look at this person, he took a deep breath. This person was exactly the same as the statue in Wang Lin's storage space. He was the seven-colored celestial sovereign. Although the middle-aged man's appearance was unfamiliar, his laughter and voice shocked Wang Lin. Wang Lin recognized that he was the madman. There was a scarlet-red dragon floating behind the madman. It let out an arrogant roar. Next to the madman was a bald teenager wearing a coat. The bald teenager's body looked thin, and at this moment, he had a ferocious expression as he fought someone. Wang Lin recognized the person the teenager was fighting. It was the Azure Dragon General. Looking around, this place was a battleground and it was extremely chaotic. 3 of the 4 generals were present, and the 8 concubines were here too. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the earth collapsed. Large amounts of fragments collapsed and countless spatial rifts appeared in the sky. Gusts of cold wind flew out, freezing the land. Watching all of this, Wang Lin was shocked. After a moment of being shocked, the madman and the seven-colored celestial sovereign collided, causing a thunderous rumble. The seven-colored celestial sovereign was knocked back and coughed out blood. His face was filled with pain and madness as he let out a violent roar. Fan Shanmeng, Fan Shanlu, why did you two betray me? Was I not good to you? Why? Was it just because I obtained that fragment that you forgot the tens of thousands of years we spent together? Fan Shanmeng, come out. You sneak attacked me during the journey back, but I allowed you to leave and didn't kill you. Do you know how much it pained my heart? Do you know? Now you have let an outsider to come and kill me, you bitch. And you Lian Daofei, you have a noble status and countless Dao partners beside you. You took a fancy to that bitch years ago, do you think I didn't know? The seven-colored celestial sovereign roared, his eyes filled with madness. The madman, or to be more accurate Lian Daofei, looked extremely proud. After hearing this, he shook his head and revealed a smile, saying, "It was her who seduced this king, but this king has no interest in someone else's Dao partner. I only came for the fragment. Hand over the fragment and I'll leave. I won't get involved in the affair between you two." Fragment? Today, none of you here can leave. The seven-colored celestial sovereign's eyes were red, and he waved his sleeve. The world changed colors and a giant vortex appeared in the sky. A giant eye appeared inside the vortex. This eye had no emotion and was completely indifferent. It stared at everything below it and then slowly closed. The moment the eye closed, Lian Daofei's expression changed greatly. Heavenly Dao! All of you die for this lord. The seven-colored celestial sovereign waved his hand and the world trembled. Black gas spread out and covered Wang Lin's vision. Miserable screams echoed and a powerful aura that made Wang Lin tremble shrouded his mind. Lian Daofei was seriously injured inside this black gas and was devoured by the heavenly Dao. The seven-colored celestial sovereign's body collapsed and scattered. His scattered body split into 3 parts that flew in all directions. One part was the seven-colored Taoist and the other was his essence. The last one carried all his memories, and it flew off into the distance. Just at this moment, the seven-colored Taoist that was the first soul flew off after the third soul. Wang Lin's mind suddenly became clear, and at this moment, he knew why the seven-colored Taoist was willing to be trapped inside the illusion and not leave. Such cunning and decisive actions, seven-colored Taoist. Wang Lin was witnessing everything and his mind was completely clear. He understood why the seven-colored Taoist was willing to be trapped in the illusion. Fan Shanmeng had lured the seven-colored Taoist into the illusion, and he had allowed her to bring him in. However, he had used his powerful cultivation to forcibly change the illusion to go back to the battle where the seven-colored celestial sovereign shattered. The one thing he wants the most is to find the third soul. However, even after all these years, he still couldn't find any clues about the third soul. He doesn't know where the third soul is hiding and who it is now. Thus, he borrowed this illusion to return back to when the seven-colored celestial sovereign split into the 3 souls and 7 fragments. Then he is going to follow the third soul like he is doing now. He is going to see where it went to reincarnate. If he really sees where the third soul went, it could be a chance to find the third soul even if the illusion is fake. I can't let him succeed. If he really does manage to see what happened, he might really find the third soul. Wang Lin, still surrounded by the ghostly face sail, charged forward. He was here with his origin soul, so he was much faster than usual. However, he still couldn't keep up with the seven-colored Taoist and the third soul. Those two disappeared before him, and Wang Lin spread out his divine soul but still couldn't find them. I can't continue like this, I'm too slow. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand hit his body and he spat out a mouthful of essence energy. This essence energy was more precious than essence blood. His origin soul immediately weakened. His origin soul stepped forward and fused with the essence energy. His speed suddenly increased greatly and he rushed forward 100 times faster than before. In an instant, Wang Lin appeared far away, and a flash of seven-colored light appeared at the edge of his divine sense. Still need a bit more. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and spat out another mouthful of essence energy. His speed increased greatly once more. Sharp pain came from his origin soul, as if he was going to be torn apart. He had reached the fast speed he could withstand. With this speed, Wang Lin finally caught up to the seven-colored Taoist with his divine sense. He also saw the light that was the third soul ahead of the seven-colored Taoist. The seven-colored Taoist frowned. He had, of course, noticed Wang Lin. He had changed this illusion by force, so he naturally knew someone else had entered. However, right now was a critical moment for him to find where the third soul had gone. This kind of chance was once in a lifetime. After all, no one in the cave world could use such a powerful illusion spell. He completely ignored Wang Lin and focused on locking on to the third soul. He wanted to see where the third soul would go. As long as he could find where it was going, he would be confident in finding the third soul after leaving this illusion. Time instantly passed by. Wang Lin coughed out a third mouthful of essence energy to barely keep up with the seven-colored Taoist. His origin soul seemed to be burning as he rushed forward. The star system before him seemed to blur and revealed a star map. This star map was like the whole cave condensed. Wang Lin immediately recognized it as a map of the entire cave world. There was still no realm ceiling formation separating the inner and outer realms. They were still whole. Wang Lin personally saw the third soul charge into the star map. Although it didn't head to the center, it was close to the center. If one carefully divided the map, it was clearly the inner realm. Inner realm. The third soul went to the inner realm. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light and he disappeared in a flash. The seven-colored Taoist let out a roar and his hand formed a seal. The star map began to expand rapidly, and the third soul that had disappeared was found once more. The third soul pierced through the current cloud sea and flew toward the summoned river. Perhaps it would stop in the summoned river. or it could pierce through to another star system. It wouldn't take long for Wang Lin to know where the third soul had gone to reincarnate. However, similarly, if Wang Lin could see it, the seven-colored Taoist could see it as well. The seven-colored Taoist was filled with excitement. Although he didn't know if this was all real or if it was happening the same way it did in the past, this was a chance. The first chance he had over the countless years. If he finds the third soul, I'll without a doubt die. I must find it before him. If I can't find it, then I can't let anyone else find it. Wang Lin's eyes were cold and decisive. However, his cultivation level was far lower, so he could not stop this. Seeing the third soul seem to slow down and about to stop, the excitement in the seven-colored Taoist had reached a peak. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly stopped, and his hand formed a seal. The ghostly face sail around his origin soul flashed, and his origin soul suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, the world was covered in seven-colored light. Wang Lin's body trembled and he returned to the first illusion where the seven-colored Taoist sat filled with excitement. Wang Lin's origin soul was surrounded by the sail, and after looking around, his origin soul returned to his body in the first illusion. The moment he entered his body, he stood up and walked toward the seven-colored Taoist without hesitation. He was unable to stop the seven-colored Taoist in the second illusion, but he could return to the first illusion using the sail. He could awaken the seven-colored Taoist here and achieve his goal. Just as Wang Lin closed in on the seven-colored Taoist, the 9 firebirds suddenly opened their eyes. They emitted a powerful heat wave. This heat was not the power of fire but light. The heat of light was countless times stronger than fire. As it shrouded Wang Lin, he felt like he was going to melt. His hair caught on fire and instantly dissipated. Wang Lin's body was filled with intense pain. He felt as if he would be turned to gas if he got a bit closer. I can't get close. Wang Lin's face became pale and he became anxious. He didn't know what the seven-colored Taoist had seen inside the second illusion, but he knew that if he didn't have a method of stopping him, then he had to escape immediately. However, Wang Lin was unwilling to leave like this. He retreated a few steps and stared at the excited seven-colored Taoist that was surrounded by the 9 suns. How can I awaken him? How should I do it? How could I do it? Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as various thoughts appeared in his mind. After several breaths, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly narrowed. Illusion. An illusionary world is like a dream. If I consider him to be sleeping, I just need to wake him up. Then this problem has become a lot more simple. If he is asleep, I just need to wake him up. Wake him up. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly and he waved his sleeve. His thunder and fire essence flew out, forming a fire vortex that gave off bolts of thunder. At the same time, Wang Lin formed a seal. His life and death essence, true and false essence, and karma essence all flew out. They fused into the vortex, making it even larger. In the end, the slaughter essence appeared. The moment it entered, the vortex rumbled and changed shapes due to Wang Lin's will. In the end, it took the shape of a horn. Wang Lin had used his 6 essences to form this horn that could amplify his voice. The essences rotating inside the horn could cause the sound that entered to increase countless fold. After doing all of this, Wang Lin activated all his 3 ancient clan powers to form ancient power. The shadow of an ancient one appeared behind him. The veins on Wang Lin's face swelled as he sucked in a breath. Then he let out a roar into the horn formed by his 6 essences. This was the roar of the ancient god, of an ancient one. This was the roar Wang Lin had learned in the ancient tomb, the same one he had used against the sovereign. The sky collapsed and the earth trembled. Rifts were ripped open and the world changed colors. Countless spatial rifts were torn open between the Wang Lin and the seven-colored Taoist. A storm started to rage. This was also caused by Wang Lin's roar. And this was all before it was amplified by the horn formed by his 6 essences. Wang Lin's roar turned into a storm and entered the horn formed by his 6 essences. After echoing inside for a while, the storm came out of the other end of the horn. The roar was already extremely powerful, and now it had been amplified countless fold. The first illusion began to disintegrate at a rapid pace. This roar formed an unimaginable sound and landed on the 9 suns around the seven-colored Taoist like a storm. The 9 suns showed signs of extinguishing, and the sound directly entered the seven-colored Taoist's ears. Inside the second illusion, The seven-colored Taoist was filled with excitement. Normally, this kind of excitement wouldn't arise within a cultivator like him, but he couldn't help it right now. He had waited for so long, it could be said he had waited a lifetime. Today, he had finally found a clue leading to the third soul through the power from the immortal astral continent. He didn't know if this was real or something he had imagined, but this was the first time he was so close to the third soul. In his gaze, he saw the third soul penetrate the summoned river and head toward what would later be the brilliant void. His hand formed a seal as he wanted a closer look, but just at this moment, a shocking change occurred. He heard a thunderous roar in his ears. At first it wasn't loud, but soon it increased greatly and became the only sound in the seven-colored Taoist's ears. Roar! Under this roar, everything before the seven-colored Taoist seemed to be torn apart by a powerful force. It seemed like it wanted to pull him out from this second illusion. The third soul that he could still see clearly disappeared before him. The star map before him blurred and collapsed. Not just the star map, but everything around him disintegrated. All of this happened too fast. This was his most excitement-filled moment, but just as he was about to see where the third soul had gone, everything disappeared. The seven-colored Taoist was startled. He couldn't stop this because it was someone in the first illusion waking him up. No! After being startled for a moment, he let out an extremely angry roar. This roar came from his mouth and also came from the mouth of the seven-colored Taoist in the first illusion. It collided with Wang Lin's roar and formed a destructive force. The horn formed by the six essences instantly shattered. Wang Lin coughed out blood, feeling like his whole body was going to shatter. At the same time, the nine suns scattered and a powerful impact shot toward him. At this moment of danger, Wang Lin used his ancient immortal spell to recover. He waved his hand and the ghostly face sail surrounded him. The moment the impact got close, Wang Lin disappeared. 1,000 feet outside the seven-colored Taoist in the mysterious space filled with fierce beasts, Wang Lin opened his eyes. He coughed out blood and his eyes were dim, but he retreated without any hesitation. With one step, he disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was extremely far away and coughed out another mouthful of blood. Wang Lin didn't even have time to heal before he escaped like crazy. The seven-colored Taoist sitting within the large amount of beast corpses suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and his expression was twisted. He stared straight ahead and let out a violent roar. Wang Lin, if I don't kill you, then I'm not a person. This roar echoed across the star domain. The large amount of fierce beast corpses trembled. They turned to dust and scattered in all directions. The seven-colored Taoist chased after Wang Lin with monstrous killing intent. Wang Lin was very far but still heard that angry roar. His face was pale as he coughed out blood without hesitation and escaped using blood escape. Nonsense. Even if I hadn't destroyed his chance of finding the third soul, he still must have had ill intent for chasing after me all the way here. Although Wang Lin's eyes were bleak, he didn't regret his actions. This had to be done. If he hadn't destroyed the seven-colored Taoist's plan and had gone to the altar instead, he would merely be delaying his death. If everything inside that illusion was real, then once the seven-colored Taoist found the third soul, there would be no hope for the entire cave world. It would be under the full control of the new seven-colored celestial sovereign. At that time, Wang Lin could have no control over his own life. He absolutely wouldn't let something like this happen, so he had to destroy the seven-colored Taoist's plan, even if the consequences pushed him infinitely close to death. At this moment, as he was fleeing, the space behind him trembled and he could feel the seven-colored Taoist chasing him. The seven-colored Taoist was extremely powerful and his divine sense could reach very far, so it would be extremely easy for him to find Wang Lin. Right now I can only head to the altar. Maybe the altar could resolve my danger. I hope so. Wang Lin had pondered for a bit before he decided to enter the seven-colored Taoist's illusion. Not only had he weighed the possible gains versus the losses, he had also used the all-seer's soul to divinate the future. He had found that the altar contained the path to survival. Fan Shan had said that this spatial rift in the Cloud Sea was open during the battle where Lian Daofei was devoured by the heavenly Tao, and the seven-colored celestial sovereign was shattered. She had also said that this place was connected to a mysterious space, which was why so many fierce beasts appeared. Deep within this spatial rift floated a giant altar. This altar was in ruins, but it didn't move. It stayed in one place. The altar was completely black, the same as the space around it. However, one corner gave off a gentle light. The reason the altar remained in place was because a corner of it seemed to be connected to another space. Ripples were echoing from the corner, causing it to linger for tens of thousands of years. The space it was connected to wasn't undamaged. There were several spatial rifts there as well. The light came from those rifts. It was as if a dart had pierced a piece of paper but got stuck. There would naturally be an opening where the dart penetrated the paper. Bursts of ancient one aura were coming the altar, but it didn't spread too far. It seemed there was an invisible force preventing it from spreading out too far. This altar was like a small mountain and had 8 edges. There were layers of steps around it, and the center of the altar was a flat area about 1,000 feet wide. If you looked closely, you would see an ancient formation on the altar. At the center of the altar there was an arm. The ancient one aura was coming from this arm. However, this arm wasn't very large, only a few hundred feet long. It remained there, silent and motionless. Because of the spatial rift, a corner of the altar was stuck in another world. This other world was filled with flowers and birds, and the earth was covered in celestial grass. There were many small beasts playing, as if it was a celestial garden. Just at this moment, a miserable scream came from that space. This scream was filled with helplessness and pleading. Anyone who heard it would undoubtedly feel pity and sympathy. Little ancestors, please let me go. I really don't have any more stories to tell. Even if you give me more treasures, I have no stories left. After more than 100 years, my mouth is dry from speaking. I can't stand it anymore. As the screams echoed, a human figure with a haggard face, dim eyes, and a painful expression struggled to come out of the spatial rift. There was clearly a barrier around the spatial rift, but it had no effect on this person. More than half of his body came out, revealing his appearance. Through the rift, one could see 2 little girls around 7 or 8 years old squatting behind this figure. Both of them were very cute. One was wearing a purple dress and the other a green dress. Han, how about we let him go? He looks very pitiful. The little girl in green looked like she couldn't bear to continue watching and looked at her companion. When the man heard those words, tears began to flow and panic filled his eyes. Wah, he hasn't finished the story yet, don't take pity on him. Remember how he threatened us when he came here. The little girl called Han grabbed the man's leg and dragged him back as he let out a mournful scream. Greed, quickly finish that story. You were just talking about the moongazer serpent, quickly tell the rest. That little girl called Wawa smiled as she looked at Greed. After thinking for a bit, she spoke. How about this? Tell us another 1,000 years of stories and I'll decide whether or not to let you go. Greed let out a howl and watched his body get dragged back to this terrifying place. When he heard Wawa's words, even more tears flowed out. I knew this would happen, you two. You guys, it was the same last time. I really don't have any stories, I want to drink some water. Greed's eyes were filled with despair and his heart was filled with regret. He had encountered Wang Lin in the outer realm, and in the end the stench on his body was removed. Originally, he let out a breath of relief. However, shortly after, he encountered the war between the inner and outer realms. This war made him extremely excited. Perhaps he could obtain even more treasures in this war, and his cultivation level would increase. Greed followed the outer realm army to the Cloud Sea and then secretly left. Following his sense for treasure, he found the spatial rift in the Cloud Sea and entered it. He was extremely excited because he realized that a powerful treasure aura was here. This aura made him laugh like crazy for almost 15 minutes. He believed his luck was great and he might encounter a great fortune here. His cultivation level would increase and he wouldn't have to be afraid of that Wang Lin anymore. He was going to steal all his treasures back. With these ambitions, Greed followed his treasure sense inside the cave and actually found this ancient altar. Greed was extremely excited when he saw this altar. He also saw the world inside the rift that the corner of the altar was stuck in. When he saw this, he almost let out a wolf howl. He saw countless celestial grasses. Many of them were ones he had only seen in books, and many he hadn't seen before. Almost all of them could increase his cultivation level once he refined them. There were simply too many celestial grasses there. enough for him to almost stop breathing. Aside from celestial grass, he saw extremely gentle celestial beasts that had terrifying cultivation levels. The celestial beasts were chasing and playing with each other. This made Greed even more excited. From his experience, he knew they wouldn't bother him if he didn't provoke them. It was also likely that, just like the thunder dragon in his youth, they would become his pets. All of this made Greed tremble in excitement, but he didn't lose his himself. He carefully observed the rift. He wanted to see if there were any cultivators guarding this place. After observing for several days, he saw two little girls appear. In his view, these two little girls posed no threat. Greed laughed happily and entered the rift. The barrier on the rift had no effect on him at all. Greed didn't feel this was strange at all. He had encountered things similar to this many times. After entering the rift, he saw that the girls were shocked to see him, and he became even more excited. He waved his hand to trap the two little girls and began to pick the celestial grasses. However, he could never forget the miserable things that happened after. He still remembered what those two little girls said after he trapped them. "Han Han, who is he? Why did he suddenly appear here? I don't know either. Strange, how did he enter our purple sunsex beast farm realm? Do you think he is crazy? Those are grasses for the little beasts. Why is he putting them in his mouth?" The two little girls were startled for a while. Then the girl named Wawa stepped forward, completely ignoring Greed's entrapment. She appeared behind him and gave him a kick. After this kick, Greed's misery began. Thinking about everything that happened, tears appeared in Greed's eyes. He looked at the two little girls filled with pride and felt despair in his heart. He couldn't beat them. Back then, just one kick had almost wasted his cultivation. In his view, these two little girls were simply too terrifying. I'll speak. Last time that murderous, ugly, shameless, arrogant demon Wang Lin was inside the belly of the moongazer. Greed's belly was filled with fire as he began to speak. This Wang Lin is too despicable. How could he be like this? The little girl in purple named Han Han frowned and muttered unhappily. Han Han, do you remember what I told you before? When I went out with teacher to gather herbs, I encountered an extremely strange divine sense. I communicated with him and he told me that his name was Wang Lin. Just as Greed was painfully telling the story in the vast space where the altar was, Wang Lin coughed out another mouthful of blood to use blood escape with a pale face. Behind him, space itself seemed to be burning as 9 firebirds chased after him. A powerful heat wave spread out from the 9 firebirds. Behind them, the 7-colored Taoist was following at a casual pace, filled with killing intent. I want to see where you will escape to. I'll burn your ancient one body to ashes. The more you recover, the more pain you will suffer. I'm going to extract your origin soul and refine it into a treasure. Only by doing that can I resolve the hatred in my heart. Wang Lin's body seemed to be burning and intense pain shrouded his whole being. His blood seemed to be boiling as it moved through his body, causing him intense pain. The blood he coughed out was hot and his body was like a giant furnace that was slowly being burnt to ashes. Even though he controlled the fire essence, he could only delay it for a bit. It seemed that not even his fire essence could resist the burning from the 7-colored Taoist spell. Wang Lin's body continued to recover along the way. The more he recovered, the more painful it was, until it got to the point where he almost couldn't bear it anymore. However, Wang Lin didn't waste time. He used blood escape many times to keep running. He was getting closer and closer to the altar. A moment later, after another teleport, Wang Lin saw the altar in the distance. When Wang Lin saw it, his eyes lit up and he moved toward it like a ray of burning fire. It was also at this moment that Greed carefully backed out toward the rift as the two little girls were debating around the name Wang Lin. Greed seemed to have gone crazy and rushed out toward the rift. The moment he charged out, he shed tears of joy. He looked at the space before him and felt like he had just escaped a life-and-death calamity. However, he was only happy for a moment when he saw a burning ray of light flying towards him. Wang Lin? Wang Lin! Greed was startled for a moment and almost couldn't believe his eyes. However, after taking a closer look, he let out a scream. You still won't let me go. I'm all the way here and you still follow me. You? Greed's face turned pale and he subconsciously retreated. Wang Lin closed in and staggered as he landed on the altar. He coughed out another mouthful of blood. At this moment Wang Lin also saw Greed, who had suddenly appeared before him. Wang Lin ignored Greed and looked into the distance. In the distance the space burned, and the 9 giant firebirds turned into suns as they approached. Behind them, the 7-colored Taoist filled with killing intent closed in. With every step he took, space itself would tremble. It was extremely terrifying. Greed's face changed once more. His eyes widened and he trembled as he retreated. The power of the 7-colored Taoist made him feel dread. This Wang Lin actually provoked such a terrifying figure. Who is this person? Greed trembled and was about to return to the beast farm realm inside the rift. To him, the outside was too dangerous. It was safer to go back and tell the little ancestors' stories. However, just at this moment, the 7-colored Taoist raised his right hand and pointed at the altar Wang Lin was on. Is this where you're escaping to? Then let me refine you here. The 7-colored Taoist pointed and the 9 suns flew toward Wang Lin. The heat wave rushed toward Wang Lin, incinerating everything in its path. Wang Lin sat down on the altar and stared at the 9 suns flying toward him. He didn't know where the chance of survival was, but he saw the hand in the altar. The ancient one aura this arm gave off was extremely familiar. Wang Lin immediately recognized it as one of Yi Mo's arms. Could this arm be the chance of survival? Wang Lin didn't hesitate, he didn't even have time to look around. He pressed his hands on this arm. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to fuse with this arm, but Wang Lin was different. He had obtained an authentic Ancient One inheritance from Yi Mo. At this moment, the arm gave off a dazzling glow and shrouded Wang Lin completely. At the same time, Greed began to dream in the heat wave. Half of his body entered the rift, but he was too late to enter completely. 1,000 years, 3,000 years, 10,000 years. I'll tell stories for 10,000 years. 2 little ancestors, save me. Just as Greed roared in pain, he felt 2 little hands press against his back. At the same time, a cultivation powerful enough to almost suffocate him rushed into his body from those 2 small hands. This cultivation force caused Greed's body to shine an endless golden light. This golden light spread and Greed's hands moved on their own until they formed a circular pattern. The moment the circular pattern formed, a golden sun appeared in his hand. This golden sun was only the size of a palm, but the power from it was so strong that it shook the entire space here. It shook the Cloud Sea, it shook the Summon River and the other star systems, and it also shook the entire outer realm. However, there was something even more terrifying to come. The continents in the Wind Celestial Realm had been taken by Wang Lin, but the realm was still there. The passage Wang Lin had sealed was still there as well. The moment this aura spread out, the door at the end of the passage trembled violently. This made the aura that terrified the cave world leak into the Gu-E sect through this door. The moment the aura appeared, the expressions of all cultivators in the sect changed greatly. Those with high cultivation levels were filled with shock and disbelief. One of the 9 suns, the aura of a Grand Empyrean. Which Grand Empyrean appeared there? On the immortal astral continent, Fan Shanmeng, who was sitting inside the ice mountain, instantly turned pale. The ice mountain suddenly collapsed and she jumped out with her face filled with horror. This is the aura of a Grand Empyrean. On the immortal astral continent of the Eastern 9 sects and 13 factions, the number 1 sect was the Purple Sun sect. Just the power of one sect was enough to sweep the other 8 sects. This was because one of the legendary Grand Empyreans was a member of the Purple Sun sect, one of the 9 suns of the immortal astral continent. However, this Grand Empyrean was very mysterious, and few people knew what this person looked like. People didn't even know if this Grand Empyrean was male or female. However, the more mysterious this Grand Empyrean was, the less people were willing to provoke the Purple Sun sect. At this moment, inside the Purple Sun sect, there were 7 or 8 old men gathered, and their faces were filled with bitterness. There was a dignified middle-aged man before them who roared loudly, "All of you, tell me what is going on." They said they were going to play in the Beast Farm realm, but, one of the elders seemed to mutter, filled with helplessness. Play? The aura of the Grand Empyrean has spread out, how could this still be playing? The middle-aged man roared, but his eyes were also filled with helplessness. We can't open the Beast Farm realm. They have sealed it and won't let us in. Another old man bitterly shook his head. No mistake is allowed in the Grand Empyrean's reincarnation. They are still growing. It is not ideal to use their Grand Empyrean power. Those two little ancestors, what are they doing? The middle-aged man stomped his feet and the entire purple sun sect trembled. Even the world outside trembled. Inside the spatial rift, Wang Lin was sitting in the altar and saw the terrifying aura that had erupted from greed. Shock appeared in his eyes. The sun in greed's hand rapidly spread until it was the size of one person. The 9 fire birds let out miserable screams as they attempted to retreat, but as the sunlight flashed, they all collapsed. There was also the 7-colored Taoist, who was startled for a moment. Although he hadn't obtained the memory, some things were engraved in his soul. Even if he split into 3 souls, certain things couldn't be erased. This memory was the fear and respect toward the 9 sons of the immortal astral continent. This is the aura of a Grand Empyrean. The 7-colored Taoist's expression changed. As the sunlight closed in, his body trembled and he coughed out blood. He retreated like crazy. He no longer considered refining Wang Lin and was scared out of his wits by the aura coming from the sun. Not only him but old Ghost John, who was following the 4 generals to see if they could find the 3rd soul, suddenly trembled. His face turned deathly pale. Grand Empyrean. He didn't speak, but a sharp voice came from his body. How can this be? The aura of a Grand Empyrean entered here. That terrifying aura spread across the inner realm, the outer realm, and the entire cave world. It swept across each planet and each living being on them. At this moment, the entire cave world entered a moment of confusion. Right now, someone, whether he was a beast, mortal, or cultivator, was simulated by the Grand Empyrean aura and remembered memories he had forgotten countless reincarnations ago. These memories would have never awakened, even after tens of thousands of years, without the stimulation from the Grand Empyrean aura. However, due to this sheer coincidence, those memories awakened. These memories that had awakened was the 3rd soul. In the spatial rift in the cloud sea, the 7-colored Taoist escaped in panic. He coughed out blood and escaped without a trace. He now felt extreme fear toward the spatial rift in the cloud sea. He could have never expected that hunting Wang Lin would cause the aura of a Grand Empyrean to appear. On the altar inside the rift, Wang Lin stared dumbfoundedly as the sun surrounded greed and pulled him into the rift. Through the rift, Wang Lin saw the 2 cute little girls inside. It's you? One of the little girls inside the beast farm realm seemed to see Wang Lin and revealed a joyous expression. Han, look, he is the person I was speaking of. He is also called Wang Lin. Wah, quickly seal up the rift here. Those annoying old fellows are coming. If they find out about this place, then we won't be able to come anymore. Okay, I'll seal the rift and you go hide greed. We can't let them find out. The rift was covered by a ray of golden light and gradually disappeared. Even now, Wang Lin still felt confused about all of this. He sat on the altar and pondered for a very long time before he withdrew his gaze from the rift. One of the 9 sons. Grand Empyrean. The space was completely silent and no light remained. Wang Lin silently sat on the altar, recalling everything that had happened. These 2 little children are actually Grand Empyreans, the legendary Grand Empyreans of the immortal astral continent. Just their auras were able to make the 7-colored Taoist escape in fear. Wang Lin's eyes shined brighter and brighter. One day, I'll also become a Grand Empyrean. Wang Lin closed his eyes and a moment later he opened them. He had calmed his heart. The 7-colored Taoist should not dare to come here anymore. This should be the safest place. I need to comprehend the restriction essence, fuse with those 9 drops of blood, and this arm. Wang Lin looked at the arm that was a few hundred feet long. If I absorb this arm and use the tearing the heavens spell, I wonder how much of Yimo's strength I can display. Wang Lin's eyes shined. After calming himself, he pointed to the spot between his eyebrows and the 8 drops of blood flew out. These 8 drops of blood floated before him. They gave off no light, but powerful ancient aura came from them. Wang Lin's 7 ancient god stars rotated rapidly to form a vortex. In his right and left eyes, his ancient devil and demon stars also appeared. The current Wang Lin looked extremely strange. Yimo's blood contains the full power of the 3 ancient clans. Wang Lin grabbed 1 drop of blood and, after pondering for a moment, crushed it. It was divided into 7 parts that were absorbed into 7 orifices. This time he wasn't simply fusing it between his eyebrows, but fusing it with his body. After fusing with 1 drop of blood, a thunderous rumble came from his body. His body began to swell as it rapidly absorbed the ancient power within. The ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. The 8th star slowly took shape, but it was extremely unstable, as if it could dissipate at any moment. Wang Lin's expression became twisted from the pain coming from his body, but he endured it. The leap from 7 stars to 8 stars was great. Wang Lin also had to spend a part of his effort to increase the power of his ancient demon stars in his left eye. What he wanted was a balanced growth of all 3 ancient clans, and not just ancient god. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 7 days went by. He was now covered in sweat and forcing himself to stay conscious. After absorbing the first drop, he crushed the second drop and then the third drop. 2 drops of blood swelled inside his body at the same time. Not only was his 8th ancient god star about to appear, but his ancient demon stars in his left eye were rotating rapidly as well. The sign of an 8th ancient demon star was about to appear as well. Wang Lin swelled up out of his control, and the ancient one shadow appeared behind him. The shadow distorted as if it was going through a mysterious change. Several days later, Wang Lin opened his eyes and waved his sleeves. The remaining 5 drops of blood exploded into a blood mist before entering his body through his pores and orifices. As the mist continued to dissipate, Wang Lin's muffled groans came from within. The 8th ancient demon star slowly appeared in his left eye. The moment the demon star appeared, a monstrous storm of demonic energy swept across the world inside this rift. All the beasts knelt and didn't dare to move. At the same time, in his right eye, the 8th ancient devil star appeared. A monstrous devilish energy rushed out. The violent and cruel devilish energy swept across this space. The last to appear was the ancient god star. 3 trials, 7 calamities, is about to arrive. The mist around Wang Lin had long disappeared. Between his eyebrows, the 8th ancient god star shined brightly and was about to take shape. The ancient gods faced the 3 trials, 7 calamities, and the ancient demons and ancient devils faced the same thing. Every calamity was like a new beginning, and anyone who survived would have their strength increased greatly. However, Wang Lin's 3 trials, 7 calamities were much more powerful than that of others. Not only had his ancient god one arrived, but his ancient demon and ancient devils ones had arrived as well. The first trial of the ancient clans has 2 calamities. The second trial also has 2 calamities, the divine calamity and soul calamity. Wang Lin had already passed the first 2 trials, and the one that was coming was the strongest of the 3 trials, the third trial that had 3 calamities. However, his ancient demon and devil bodies, which had fused together, hadn't gone through the first or second trials. As a result, when he reached 8 stars on them, a total of 8 calamities would arrive at the same time. The ancient clan's calamities had to be passed one by one. The 8 ancient demon stars in his left eye rotated, forming a vortex. Demonic energy spread out from his left eye and covered his entire face before shrouding his whole body. At this moment, Wang Lin didn't look like a cultivator at all. His face was blue and his expression was ferocious. His veins swelled up and demonic energy spread out from his body. Wang Lin looked like a real demonic cultivator. His white hair moved behind him eerily and popping sounds echoed inside his body. The nails on his hands extended until they were more than 1 foot long. Those 10 nails were completely purplish red and looked extremely demonic. The demonic energy around his body condensed into a purplish red armor. This was a set of demonic armor the ancient demon clan members could create once they reached 8 stars. Covered in demonic armor, Wang Lin sat down on the altar. The ancient one shadow dissipated and was replaced by a huge ancient demon shadow. Its whole body was glowing green and its eyes had a strange light. It floated behind Wang Lin and was also sitting. The ancient demon's hair fluttered in the air, and it was thousands of feet tall. From a distance, the ancient demon's hair looked like smoke. At this moment, even if someone that knew him saw him, they wouldn't be able to recognize him immediately. Wang Lin closed his eyes as he slowly cycled the ancient demon power in his body. At this moment, the first trial and 2 calamities of the ancient demon arrived. Similar to the ancient god calamity, it was the bone calamity and the flesh calamity. These two calamities erupted inside Wang Lin's ancient demon body. Just as they appeared, the demonic energy around Wang Lin became chaotic. He remained motionless and his eyebrows were locked. His closed eyes seemed to hide all the pain he was facing. The bones and flesh of his ancient demon body were being destroyed, but this pain was far from Wang Lin's limit. The ancient god calamities he faced back then were countless times stronger than what he was facing now. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 5 days went by. After 5 days passed, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. There were no stars between his eyebrows or in his right eye, but 8 ancient demon stars were rapidly rotating in his left eye, giving off a monstrous demonic energy. The ancient demon clan's first trial and 2 calamities is only this strong? Wang Lin was calm. He was indeed qualified to feel this. The ancient demon's first trials and 2 calamities were no threat to him. After the first trial, the second trial began shrouding Wang Lin's divine sense and soul. The demonic energy around him became violent and the ancient demon shadow behind him became twisted, as if it was going to let out a roar in pain. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at his left eye, and his face became ferocious. He used his full attention to suppress the second trial, and after 10 days of suppression, the 2 calamities of the second trial collapsed. After going through 2 trials and 4 calamities, Wang Lin's ancient demon power surged and spread across the star domain. A powerful demon was born. Wang Lin's twisted expression slowly calmed down. His hands formed a seal and then he placed his hands on his knees. The ancient demon stars in his left eye gradually faded away. The moment they completely disappeared, the ancient devil stars in his right eye lit up. 8 ancient devil stars appeared. The demonic energy around Wang Lin scattered and was replaced with boundless devilish energy. This monstrous devilish energy formed a black mist that released the screams of countless miserable souls. Under this monstrous devilish energy, the ancient demon armor around Wang Lin shattered and a strange black as ink armor appeared. This armor created a shocking contrast with his white hair, which was a shocking sight for anyone who saw him. Devilish patterns appeared on Wang Lin's face. As the devilish energy surged, Wang Lin changed from a demonic cultivator to a devil. A devil, something that coexisted with celestials, gods, and demons. Throughout the ages, all the so-called devils were fake. Even ancient devils were not true devils. A real devil had no body, soul, or cultivation. It was a will to be the only ruler. Wang Lin's path was similar to a devil's, but he had never become a true devil. After all, his main body was an ancient god. At this moment, the ancient devil stars rotated and monstrous devilish energy surged. Wang Lin's eyes opened, revealing merciless, cold light as he welcomed the ancient devil's first and second calamities. The power of the ancient devil calamities was similar to the ancient demon calamities, but just a bit stronger. Among the 3 ancient clans, the ancient gods were the strongest, followed by the ancient devils, and the ancient demons were the weakest. Their 3 trials 7 calamities were the same. After 7 days, Wang Lin's ancient devil body went through the first and second calamities. The pain of having his flesh and bones destroyed was still not as bad as the ancient god calamities he had faced. He then used another 13 days to suppress the second trial for the ancient devil. The sharpening of his divine sense and soul allowed Wang Lin to almost reach completion with his ancient devil body. After his ancient devil body successfully passed the 2 trials and 4 calamities, his 3 ancient clan powers reached a balance. As he sat on the altar, the 8 ancient god stars appeared without hesitation. Ancient god and 8-star ancient god. Wang Lin had cultivated for more than 2,000 years. Through various fortunes and life and death situations, he had reached today and had become an 8-star ancient god. Not only was he an ancient god, but he was also an 8-star ancient demon and 8-star ancient devil. When the 3 fused into one with the ancient god as the main body, they would become an ancient one. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light, and a total of 24 stars rotated at the same time. The aura of an ancient one spread out and filled the stars. A powerful feeling appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin mercilessly clenched his fists. He knew that what he would face now was the real calamity. The 3rd trial of the ancient clans, all 3 would come at once. The 3rd trial had 3 calamities, the first being the ancient race heavenly blood. The second calamity being the ancient Tao 3 distractions. As for the third calamity, it was the strongest calamity the Ancient Ones faced. It was called the Blessing of the Ancient Ancestor. Wang Lin didn't know much about the specifics. Although he had obtained the inheritance from Yemo, the memories were limited. He just knew that when facing the last two calamities, he would have to go to the ancient temple in the ancient country on the immortal astral continent to attempt them. Anytime a member of the ancient country reached the last calamity, a grand event would be held throughout the entire country. There would be a grand ceremony. Ancient One Yemo had gone through the last calamity in the ancient temple. He then obtained the title of Ancient Dao and became one of the powerhouses of the ancient country, admired by tens of millions of people. Even the Celestials attached great importance to the final calamity of the ancient clan. As Wang Lin sat on the altar, his body was being shrouded by even more powerful Ancient One aura to meet the first calamity of the third trial. Once he passed this calamity, he would become a true 8-star ancient god. With the power of 8 stars from all 3 ancient clans, even without his cultivation, Wang Lin would be confident in overpowering early-stage arcane void cultivators. If his cultivation level increased further with the formation of the 7th essence, not even mid-stage arcane void cultivators would be his match after his cultivation and Ancient One power fused. He could directly battle late-stage arcane void cultivators. Ancient Race Heavenly Blood. This calamity arrived. The so-called Heavenly Blood calamity required one to condense all the power of the 3 clans in one's body into one drop of blood. This drop of blood was everything for the person going through the calamity. They would use this drop of blood to break through the heavens and offer it as a sacrifice to the ancient race. Once you obtained the recognition of the ancient ancestor, then no matter where you were, a drop of blood would be sent back. This drop of blood would fuse with the drop of blood that was formed by the essence of the person going through the calamity. Once they fused, the body that would reform would have the true Ancient One bloodline. This bloodline was an equal existence to the celestial bloodline. The difficulty of this calamity wasn't the pain of condensing that drop of blood, but obtaining the recognition of the ancient ancestor. It was not something that just anyone could obtain. Even if one obtained the recognition of the ancient ancestor, the amount of blood obtained in return would be different as well, depending on the level of recognition. If it was ordinary, then only 1 drop, but if the recognition was high, then it could be 2 drops. Ancient Dao Yemo obtained 3 drops of blood when he went through the calamity. Throughout the ages, the person that obtained the most before Yemo had obtained 8 drops. This person was one of the 9 sons of the immortal astral continent, the ancient country's Grand Emperor Xian Luo. It was also him who battled against Grand Emperor Dao Yi to obtain that fragment outside of the 7 Dao sect. Wang Lin was sitting on the altar. After pondering for a long time, he closed his eyes and his ancient aura around him condensed inside his body. He began the first step of this calamity, refining that drop of blood. A vague shadow overlapped with his body, and another Wang Lin gradually walked out. This was his avatar, his cultivator avatar. After his avatar left, Wang Lin's original body was now pure Ancient One. With Ancient Demon Body, extract the soul of the demon and form a drop of blood. Extract! Wang Lin raised his right hand to press on his body and let out a roar. His body trembled violently. His left eye immediately melted and intense pain washed over him. Even Wang Lin clenched his teeth in pain. Wang Lin felt like a part of his body was being pulled out, and a drop of blood flew out from his left eye. This drop of blood was the size of a nail, floating before Wang Lin. Inside the drop sat a small ancient demon that looked like Wang Lin. With my ancient devil body, extract the soul of the devil and form a drop of blood. Extract! Wang Lin's voice was calm, forming a stark contrast with his painful expression. As he spoke, his right hand formed a seal and pressed on his body again. Popping sounds came from his right eye before it collapsed. Wang Lin's body rapidly withered until it was like a skeleton. After his right eye collapsed, a drop of black blood filled with monstrous devilish energy flew out and floated next to the ancient demon blood. There was a small ancient devil Wang Lin sitting inside it. With my ancient god body, melt everything and form a drop of ancient god blood. Wang Lin's vision was blurry and he could not see clearly. The pain was already beyond his limit, but he still held on. He had to survive this ancient race heavenly blood calamity. His body melted rapidly. The first parts to melt were his legs and arms. Then his entire body was surrounded by a blood mist. Then his entire body disappeared and became part of the blood mist. The mist moved and rapidly condensed. After about 7 minutes, it formed a drop of ancient god blood. At this moment on this altar, from the view of Wang Lin's avatar, his original body had disappeared without a trace. Only 3 drops of blood remained. The 3 drops of blood floated there, and inside each one sat a tiny Wang Lin. At this moment, the 3 figures opened their eyes and the 3 drops of blood rapidly fused. After a few moments of silence, the 3 drops of blood fused into 1 drop. This drop of blood was the essence of the ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient devil bodies. It was Wang Lin's everything. Different from the blood of the celestials, this blood was not golden but gave off a black light. It caused the surroundings to look hazy. The moment the 3 drops of blood fused into one, an ancient aura spread out from it. This drop of blood contained the passage of time and the ancient clan's heaven-defying will. It shot into the sky and flew off into the distance. No cultivator in the entire cave world would notice this aura, because this aura belonged to the ancient clan. It didn't belong to any cultivator. This had aura appeared to summon the ancient clan. As the aura spread out, anyone who had the ancient bloodline in the cave world would feel it. They would feel a power from their bloodline. In the inner realm, the ancient demon in the cloud sea that hadn't died after all those battles opened his eyes in shock. He stared into the distance as he felt this aura, and he faintly felt like worshipping that aura. Inside the invisible rift around the collapsed planet Donglin, sat a woman who was also an ancient god. At this moment, her eyes opened and became filled with horror. She was startled for a moment before her body began to tremble uncontrollably. Ancient race, heavenly blood. In the outer realm, in the ancient tomb, Tuasen hadn't left. He had decided to stay inside to complete his inheritance. He was still sitting there with his eyes closed. Wang Lin had given him the memory inheritance he always wanted. After years of fusing with it, perhaps he was still Tuasan or perhaps he had become the awakened 2C. But at this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and his pupils shrank. On the immortal astral continent, the east and south belonged to the celestials and the west and north belonged to the ancient ones. Because the immortal astral continent was so large, many cultivators or ancient ones had never left their own country. At this moment, in the northern part of the immortal astral continent, there was a giant floating city. Just the size of this city was as big as the cave world. It was impossible to see the edges of this city. The space below the city was completely dark, a place that would never see sunlight. This was the ancient country's prison for celestial prisoners. With the city acting as a suppression tool, many celestial bloodline cultivators were imprisoned here. At the center of this ancient city stood a huge statue. This statue was very large, looking as if it supported the sky above the immortal astral continent. Even if you were far away, you could still see this statue. This statue was that of a middle-aged man. His expression was majestic as he looked at the earth below him. He gave off a gaze that made it seem like he looked down upon everything. In his eyes, what was this sky, what was this earth, and what did celestials count as? His hands were stretched out as if he controlled the entire immortal astral continent. His huge palms felt like they had the power to destroy the entire continent. A young man stood on his left hand. This young man had a head of black hair and wore a black robe. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he looked at the statue before him with respect in his eyes. A faint light had appeared between the eyebrows of this statue a few days ago. This light was red, and it almost looked like condensed blood. It was this shocking scene that caused this young man to be standing here staring at it. Behind him floated thousands of figures. Behind them floated tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands of figures. Although there was a large amount of people, there was no noise. Everyone's gazes were locked onto the young man in black and the statue. After a long time, the young black-haired man seemed to slowly mutter to himself, "Has the time arrived?" Just at this moment, 9 giants about 100,000 feet tall were walking over from the distant void. Behind them was a man dressed in a royal robe who looked almost exactly like the statue. As he walked over, he had his hands behind his back. Behind him followed 9 more 100,000 feet tall giants. His appearance caused the nearly 1 million ancient country cultivators to bow. "Greetings, ancient emperor." Only the black-haired young man didn't bow and still calmly looked at the statue. The man in the royal robe didn't seem to mind at all. He walked past the 1,000,000 people bowing to him and arrived beside the young man. He smiled as he clasped his hands and spoke with respect without losing any of his dignity. Yi Su greets Grand Emperor Xian Luo. The black-haired young man was one of the 9 sons, Grand Emperor Xian Luo. The black-haired young man slowly said, "The time is almost here, you're a bit late. I hope Grand Emperor can forgive me. The Ji and Shi emperors are both very concerned about what is happening here. And I was talking to them with my divine sense." The middle-aged man in the royal robe revealed a wry smile and nodded. The black-haired young man let out a cold snort. "The 3 emperors Ji, Dao and Shi. You are the emperor of the kingdom of Dao. And there are times when you don't need to bother giving them any attention. This matter is a great event for my Dao kingdom, so of course they are concerned. As uncle says." The middle-aged man changed the way he addressed the young man. After hearing the middle-aged man call him uncle, the black-haired young man's expression softened slightly. "Uncle, this matter is very strange. I wonder what are the chances?" The man in the royal robe looked at the statue of his ancestor, who looked just like him. The black-haired young man pondered for a long time before speaking. "Yimo's heir is an accident. I don't know what happened. I merely felt it through the bloodline. As for whether he can obtain the recognition of the ancient ancestor, I'm not sure. He is the heir of Yimo? How is this possible?" The man in the royal robe trembled. Apparently it was the first time he had heard of this. "Back then Yimo..." Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the black-haired young man. 7 days ago, my ancient clan's ancient statue gave off the heavenly blood light. This matter is normal, but this heavenly blood light has been gathering for 7 days and still hasn't formed. This kind of thing is extremely rare. Even for me, the blood light only gathered for 9 days. I carefully searched everyone with the ancient bloodline and found that no one had begun the ancient race heavenly blood calamity. Then I performed a divination to find the root. It was Yimo's heir. If he succeeds, and if he can come to the immortal astral continent, then I'll consider taking him as my disciple. My only disciple. To be able to reach such a point inside the cave world and then be able to come out means he will become someone very powerful in the future. A powerful person for my ancient race. After I reincarnate, he can help guard the ancient race. I hope he can succeed," the black-haired young man said slowly as he looked at the statue. Time slowly passed. 8 days, 9 days until 13 days went by. Still in complete silence, all the surrounding ancient clan members looked at the blood light around the statue become more intense during these days. More and more expectation appeared in their eyes. At dusk of the 13th day, a change occurred. The blood light between the eyebrows of the statue seemed to reach a limit and covered most of the sky. The surroundings were shrouded in the blood light, and a few breaths later, a drop of blood slowly formed between the eyebrows of the statue. After a long time, a second drop still hadn't appeared. Only 1 drop? The man in the royal robe revealed an undetectable amount of contempt in his eyes. Not only him, but all the ancient clan members around were all filled with disappointment. They had waited for 13 days in order to witness a miracle, and they didn't expect to only see 1 drop. However, just at this moment, loud exclamations came from people. A second drop of blood flew out from between the eyebrows of the statue. Shortly after, the third and fourth drops of blood flew out. 4 drops. It's actually 4 drops. The man in the royal robe stared at the eyebrows of the statue with a hint of surprise. 4 drops of blood wasn't enough to shock him though. Even Yimo had obtained 3 drops. Although a majority of people only obtained 1 drop of blood during this calamity, there were still a lot who obtained 2 drops. Aside from Yimo, most with the royal bloodline could obtain at least 2 drops of ancient race heavenly blood. What's more, the royal-robed man himself had obtained 6 drops of blood. He was the strongest person among the Dao clan aside from Xian Luo. Therefore, he became the king of the Dao clan. His status was very high and he was revered by countless people. Even so, he was not taken as a disciple by Xian Luo. He had already brooded over this matter, but didn't dare to bring it up. When he heard Grand Emperor Xian Luo say that he was going to take Yimo's heir as a disciple, he felt very gloomy, but he didn't reveal it. For drops of blood, this kind of thing hasn't happened in a long time. However, for drops of blood should be the limit. You can see that the light from the statue is becoming dim. With 13 days of time, for drops isn't a lot. There was a lot of debate from the people around the statue. Their eyes were all gathered on the statue. They watched the monstrous red light slowly dissipate until only a tiny bit remained between the eyebrows. At this moment, the nearly 1 million ancient clan members knew that this was about to be over. The man in the royal robe remained calm but sneered in his heart. Merely 4 drops of blood. How could he have the power to protect my Dao clan? Today's matter was made a bigger deal than it really is. If Uncle wants to accept a disciple, my Dao clan has several members who obtained 4 drops. Even when I obtained 6 drops, he didn't consider me. If he still decides to accept Yimo's heir, then I'll be the first to disagree. The man in the royal robe didn't reveal his true thoughts at all, and instead revealed a hint of regret. He shook his head and smiled bitterly as he spoke softly to Grand Emperor Xian Luo beside him. Uncle, 4 drops is quite a lot. Yimo's heir can be considered a genius in our Dao clan. Grand Emperor Xian Luo's expression remained bland, as if he hadn't heard the man in the royal robe at all. He looked at the eyebrows of the statue and watched the red light become more faint until only a sliver remained. He also watched the 4 drops that had appeared amid a crystal-clear light. They broke through the void and disappeared into the distance. After a long time, the black-haired young man slowly said, "Let's wait a bit more." The man in the royal robe nodded in agreement, but his heart was filled with disdain. Aside from Uncle, no one else in the Dao clan has better talent than me. Yimo wasn't talented enough, and his heir is also not talented enough. Time slowly passed on the immortal astral continent. At this moment, inside the rift in the cloud sea, Wang Lin's avatar was sitting on the edge of the altar. He looked at the drop of blood formed by his original body, which was at the center of the altar. This drop of blood quietly floated there, motionless, but at this moment, a howl began to echo inside this strange space. Ripples echoed from nowhere and a powerful ancient aura slowly spread out. This aura was far beyond anything in the cave world, and not even the Grand Empyrean could compare to it. However, this aura wasn't scary and didn't attract the attention of anyone else. Only Wang Lin could feel it. Ripples echoed above the altar and a giant vortex appeared. It slowly rotated and thunderous rumbles echoed from it. The vortex shrouded the entire altar and a powerful force spread, pushing Wang Lin's avatar off the altar. This force that pushed Wang Lin's avatar caused Wang Lin's mind to tremble. This force was more powerful than the might of heaven. It was more powerful than any pressure Wang Lin had ever faced. Forget him, even 7-colored would be forced off this altar. Wang Lin felt like the drop of blood formed by his original body was burning, and it released a blood light that seemed to be communicating with the vortex. As the blood light came out from the vortex, a drop of blood flew out and shot toward the drop of blood formed by Wang Lin's original body. Soon, the 2 drops of blood fused into one. At this instant, Wang Lin's avatar immediately sat down. Intense pain came from his mind. This pain made it almost impossible to control his avatar, and he had to focus all his attention on his avatar. The moment he sat down, his consciousness left his avatar and was completely immersed inside that drop of blood. Unspeakable pain echoed through his consciousness. Although he had no body, he felt the pain of his body burning. The drop of blood that had fused with him seemed to be boiling. Just at this moment, the second drop of blood flew out from the vortex and fused with Wang Lin. The pain inside Wang Lin's consciousness increased several-fold, but he could not let out a roar. He could only endure. Shortly after, the third drop of blood flew out from the vortex and fused with Wang Lin. This caused Wang Lin's drop of blood to expand to 3 feet wide, and the shadow of a naked body condensed. This body had a head of white hair. It was Wang Lin. His body was covered in intricate runes that looked extremely bizarre. His eyes were shut and muffled groans of pain came from his mouth. His body gradually took shape. The 4th drop of blood flew out of the vortex. When it flew out, red light filled this endless space. A ray of red light shot out and landed directly between Wang Lin's eyebrows. With this, Wang Lin's body trembled and his eyes suddenly opened. His eyes were red and his body was trembling. A powerful force surged in his body, causing popping sounds to echo inside him. After fusing with these 4 drops of blood, a bloodline was born. This bloodline was that of the Ancient Ones. From now on, Wang Lin was a real member of the Ancient Clan and a citizen of the Ancient Country. After the 4th drop of blood flew out, the vortex above showed signs of dissipating, and once it was gone, this calamity would be over. Although Wang Lin had passed it, he could only obtain 4 drops, just 1 more than Yimo. This was already a lot for him. After all, he had obtained Yimo's inheritance, and 4 drops was already 1 more than Yimo. This was already Wang Lin's limit. He was not a genius, not born on the immortal astral continent, and he was merely a lowly cave creature. He could not compare to the man in the royal robe who had obtained 6 drops of blood, and became a member of the royal family. Wang Lin didn't have anything compared to a blessed individual like that. He also couldn't compare to Grand Emperor Xian Luo, who was one of the 9 sons, one of the strongest 9 people on the immortal astral continent. Such a legendary existence was above all others, and he had obtained 8 drops of blood. Wang Lin could not compare to such a person. The only thing he had was his fortitude and unyielding nature, and his unwillingness to be controlled by others. Through countless life and death struggles, he had gone from a weak mortal to his current self. Looking back, such hardships were really shocking. While he faced countless life and death struggles, the Emperor and the Ancient Ones of the immortal astral continent cultivated in peace. With the Grand Empyrean guarding them, they rarely faced life and death encounters. While Wang Lin went through countless life and death struggles to gain his resources, the man wearing the royal robe was guarded by countless people while he cultivated. No matter what he wanted, his clan would immediately send it to him. While Wang Lin hugged Li Muwen and cried out, and while Wang Lin struggled desperately to revive Li Muwen, the man in the royal robe played with the strange treasures his people had brought him. He could choose any woman and make them one of his many concubines. For drops of blood is my limit. The bloodline in Wang Lin's body gradually condensed. He looked at the gradually disappearing vortex above him. He was not satisfied. Although he didn't know the commotion he was causing on the immortal astral continent, this was his personality. He was not satisfied. He wanted his bloodline to be even stronger. For nothing else but his unyielding, heaven-defying will. Since you recognize my ancient bloodline, then 4 drops of blood is not enough. There was coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he leaped into the air and charged toward the dissipating vortex. He was different from all the Ancient Ones on the immortal astral continent. He had survived in the cave world, and in his heart, he never respected the ancient ancestor. He didn't respect such an ethereal existence. He only believed in his own strength. This was something that no one on the immortal astral continent, not even Grand Emperor Xian Luo, could comprehend. Even Grand Emperor Xian Luo still held great respect for the existence of this ancestor. But Wang Lin was different. He was the first person who was not satisfied with the drops of ancient race heavenly blood, so he rushed into the vortex. Throughout the ages, among the 3 clans of the ancient country of the immortal astral continent, no one had taken that step. This was related to the environment in which they grew up in. They lived under the protection of the 3 Grand Empyreans, under the rules of the 3 emperors, under the light of their ancestors. They almost fervently admired the ancient ancestor. He was their heaven. No matter how arrogant they were, they didn't dare to show even a little disrespect toward the ancient ancestor. This was something instilled in them from the moment they were born. Everyone who lived around them was the same. Even Grand Emperor Xian Luo was like this. This just shows how impactful it was. However, Wang Lin was different. He moved like a ray of light and closed in on the dissipating vortex. His figure revealed fortitude, boundless tyranny, and a powerful unyielding nature. If he hadn't obtained the recognition of the ancient ancestor, it wouldn't matter, but since he had, he didn't agree with only 4 drops. However, Wang Lin's view was different. The so-called recognition was just identifying someone as their descendant so they would have your bloodline. Wang Lin didn't need this bloodline. If he wanted to, he could get the celestial bloodline from the madman. It was an existence equal to the ancient bloodline. Because of this, Wang Lin would charge into the vortex. If this so-called ancient ancestor didn't give him more blood, he would force those 4 drops of blood out of his body and give up his identity as an ancient one. He would take the celestial bloodline. obtain the immortal celestial body, and become a celestial. You recognize me, but I haven't recognized you. If you want me to recognize this bloodline, then give me more blood and power. Wang Lin didn't fear this ancient ancestor, so he dared to demand conditions. Once I recognize a bloodline, I will never betray it, but trying to make me accept it with only 4 drops is too cheap. Wang Lin roared as he rushed at the vortex. His roar entered the vortex and echoed inside. It formed a series of echoes that swirled inside the vortex. Just as Wang Lin entered the vortex, an indifferent aura that was like a divine sense spread out and shrouded him. This prevented Wang Lin from entering and kept him outside the vortex. The aura this divine sense gave off was ancient and contained no emotion at all, as if it were dead. Wang Lin floated inside the aura and coldly stared at the vortex. His eyes lit up and his right hand pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. After lifting his hand, there was a milky white light at his fingertip. He waved his right hand and the void beside him distorted, revealing various pictures. There was a black-robed young man in this picture, and he was only at the core formation stage. He was in the land of the ancient god on planet Suzaku. The picture changed again. After the young man in black experienced many things, he finally obtained ancient god 2C's memory inheritance. You can see it. This is when I first obtained the ancient god inheritance. Wang Lin spoke slowly. Then he waved his right hand. The pictures changed and revealed how Wang Lin had obtained his ancient god inheritance. This continued until the end when he was in the ancient tomb. These were Wang Lin's memories and he made them appear. Since you have a spirit, then ponder how many drops of blood are needed for me to accept your bloodline. Or else destroy me and I'll give up the ancient bloodline and become a celestial. Wang Lin's words were cold, and after he finished speaking, the aura around him suddenly left. It retreated back into the vortex. It seemed to ponder for a long time, and the vortex that was about to dissipate rumbled once more and began to rotate. It slowly reformed and even more blood light began to spread out. On the immortal astral continent, on the city floating in the sky in the Dao clan, nearly 1 million ancient clan members waited. The man in the royal robe was about to lose his patience, but he didn't dare to speak. The originally dim sliver of blood light between the eyebrows of the statue suddenly erupted with red light. This red light shrouded the world and caused the surroundings to be bathed in red. This sudden change caused an uproar. This is impossible. There is even more blood light. Could the 5th drop be about to form? Throughout the ages, the ancient race heavenly blood was all formed at once. Such a change has never happened before. The blood light has reappeared. The expression of the man in the royal robe changed for the first time. He stared at the light between the eyebrows of the statue and shock appeared in his eyes. How can this be? It was obviously going to end. How could this happen? This. Only the black-haired young man, Grand Emperor Xian Luo, revealed a smile. His eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at the statue, remaining silent. While the nearly 1 million ancient clan members were in shock, the blood light gathered between the eyebrow of the statue and a 5th drop of blood flew out. This 5th drop confirmed everyone's speculations and immediately set off a monstrous wave. Everyone was in shock. All their gazes gathered on the statue. After a long time, only the 5th drop appeared. After seeing this, the man in the royal robe finally relaxed. 5 drops. So what if there are 5 drops? I obtained 6 drops and became the emperor of the Dao clan. I don't believe he can. The eyes of the man in the royal robe shined. Just as he began to think this, what happened next caused his thoughts to collapse. His whole body trembled. The blood light became monstrous again, and this time the 6th drop of blood flew out. 6 drops of blood. 6 drops. Same as the emperor. This is our Dao clan's great fortune. Not 6 drops, it's 7 drops. When the blood light gathered, the crowd went into an uproar. The face of the man in the royal robe turned purple and the 7th drop flew out. What was even more amazing was that as Grand Emperor Xian Luo laughed, the 8th drop appeared. 8 drops of blood. Even Grand Emperor Xian Luo had only obtained 8 drops. The surrounding people almost lost their minds as they stared at the statue in shock. The man in the royal robe subconsciously licked his lips, and there was an almost undetectable flash of coldness in his eyes. How could Yimo's heir obtain such recognition from the ancestor and be given 8 drops of blood? I'm the real descendant of the ancient ancestor. I'm the royal bloodline. I'm the greatest genius of the ancient clan besides uncle. The man in the royal robe took a deep breath and suppressed the jealousy in his heart. He could not let Grand Emperor Xian Luo see this. His gloomy expression was hidden by a smile. The man in the royal robe faced the black-haired young man and smiled. Congratulations, uncle. It seems this child will become your only disciple. Perhaps one day he will even surpass uncle and come a new Grand Emperor for the Dao clan. The heart of the man in the royal robe was sinister. Although these words sounded nice, they were filled with hidden meanings. However, his words were lacking any sense of falsehood, as if he really had spoken due to the joy he felt. It was difficult to see anything off about them. The black-haired young man remained the same after hearing his. Only he turned around and looked meaningfully at the man in the royal robe. With this gaze, the man in the royal robe trembled. Just as he was about to speak, he heard another uproar. He looked back at the statue and his heart skipped a beat, his face immediately turning pale. The 9th drop slowly formed under this heaven-shattering uproar. The 9th drop of blood caused Grand Emperor Xian Luo's eyes to shine brightly. The joy in his eyes could be seen clearly by everyone. However, this was not the end. After the 9th drop of blood, the blood light gathered once more. As everyone was holding their breaths, the 10th drop of blood showed signs of appearing. The 10th drop. Something that has never happened throughout the ages. The 10th drop. 10 drops of the ancient ancestor blood. This is unbelievable. 10 drops of blood. Doesn't that mean this person is the real emperor of the Dao clan? Even the royal family has never obtained 10 drops of blood. Who the hell is this person? Could he become the future emperor of our Dao clan? The man in the royal robe was livid and almost lost control of the crazed jealousy in his heart. He stared at the blood light gathering between the eyebrows of the statue. All the blood light in the area gathered and formed a drop of blood. This drop of blood was not red, but purple. The moment the drop of purple blood formed, the expression of the man in the royal robe changed greatly and he subconsciously took a few steps back. His eyes revealed more shock, horror and disbelief than before. Ancient ancestor soul blood. This is soul blood. It's impossible, impossible. The Grand Emperor's expression changed for the first time. He stared at the drop of purple blood and revealed shock in his eyes for the first time. He was not even shocked by the 9th drop, but at this moment he was shocked. Ancient ancestor. You sending out a drop of soul blood, could this mean something? Soul blood, this soul blood. Throughout the ages, only 9 drops of soul blood have appeared. 3 drops of soul blood created one of the ancient clans. 9 drops of soul blood created the current 3 ancient clans. The black-haired young man took a deep breath. His right hand pointed at the sky and the world changed colors. A large red sun appeared, shrouding this area, preventing anyone from the outside from seeing what was happening here. I seal this place with my Empyrean sun. Members of my Dao clan, do not tell anyone of this matter. Anyone who violates this will die, no matter their identity. Grand Emperor Xian Luo spoke slowly. He turned around and gave the man in the royal robe a profound look. Did you hear that? The man in the royal robe lowered his head and quickly answered. Yes, however, the jealousy inside his heart had almost reached the point of collapse. The black-haired young man raised his head and looked toward the land occupied by the Celestials. He slowly muttered, I'm going to the land of the Celestials to bring this child back here. 5 drops of blood and 1 drop of purple soul blood shined brightly before the statue. After Grand Emperor Xian Luo sealed the aura with the power of his Empyrean sun, these 6 drops of blood flew off into the distance. Ripples appeared in the sky, forming a giant vortex, and the center of the vortex seemed to connect to the void. The 6 drops of blood flew into the vortex and disappeared before everyone's gazes. The last to disappear was the purple soul blood. The appearance of this drop of soul blood shook everyone. They also revealed disbelief, horror, and awe. They looked at the demonic purple light that came from the soul blood and watched it disappear into the vortex. After that, they became sober and the shock became even more intense. The shock was like a wave that shrouded their bodies and souls. Purple soul blood. My God, I saw a drop of purple soul blood. In all the generations of the ancient country, there have only been 9 drops. Legend says that the ancient ancestor gave 9 drops of soul blood to his 3 sons. These 3 sons each created one of the ancient clans. My clan is the Dao clan formed by his 3rd son, and it has lasted until today. Now the 10th drop of blood has appeared. Who is experiencing the first calamity of the 3rd trial? I have never heard of soul blood appearing during this calamity. This matter is too amazing. This is definitely a shocking event for my ancient country. There are 3 calamities in the 3rd trial. The first calamity being the ancient race heavenly blood. He obtained 9 drops of blood followed by a drop of soul blood, and this is only the first calamity. If he reaches the second calamity, ancient Tao 3 distractions, what kind of fortune will he obtain in that calamity? There is also the last calamity, blessing of the ancient ancestor. If he obtains such high recognition from the ancient ancestor, I can't imagine what he will obtain then. Maybe the legendary ancient ancestor inheritance that no one has obtained before. Debates began to echo as everyone was shaken by the drop of soul blood. Fortunately, this place had been sealed by Grand Emperor Xian Luo, and with his powerful might, he prevented people from leaking what had happened here. Otherwise, this matter would set off a huge wave on the immortal astral continent. The Ji and Shi clans would definitely come to investigate once they learned of this. Could even cause a dispute. It has to be said that the appearance of the 10th drop of soul blood was simply too important for the ancient country. If Wang Lin could obtain 2 more drops, then he could scatter his essence blood and form the 4th ancient clan like the ancient ancestor's 3 sons. If the Celestials knew of this, they would be shocked. Even though this wouldn't set off a huge war, they would send people to pay close attention. Everything was because of this drop of soul blood. After the 6 drops of blood disappeared into the vortex and the bloodlight disappeared, the aura disappeared as well. Grand Emperor Xian Luo waved his right hand at the red sun that shrouded the area. The sun suddenly gave off even brighter light and divided into nearly 1 million pieces. It landed on the bodies of everyone here, forming a sealing spell. After everything was done, the sun that shrouded this place dissipated and the sky returned to normal. The wind blew by as if it wanted to blow away the shock and tension that was here. Grand Emperor Xian Luo looked into the distance and stepped forward without hesitation, disappearing without a trace. He was going to the Celestials' land, to the 7 Dao sect, to the cave to take that child back home. After Xian Luo left, the city and the sky remained silent for a long time. Then the man in the royal robe left with an extremely gloomy heart. After he left, everyone else slowly left while still filled with shock. Everything that had happened here was buried deeply at the bottom of their hearts. As they scattered, they all looked at where Grand Emperor Xian Luo went. There was complication, envy, jealousy in their eyes, but what overpowered all of that was expectation. They were looking forward to Grand Emperor Xian Lu bringing back the person that shocked them. They were even more looking forward to seeing what this person looked like and who this person was. My Dao clan is the weakest of the 3 ancient countries. I hope the Grand Emperor's return will change all of this. It wasn't until everyone had dissipated that the emperor returned to the depths of the city in the sky, to his palace. This palace was so large it was very difficult to see where it ended. It was filled with intricate carvings and was extremely luxurious. There were many servants inside the palace. Their faces were pale and they were extremely nervous. This fear came from the terrifying aura that came from one of the sub-palaces to the east. This aura was filled with an irrepressible sense of anger. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the palace. The resident palace for the emperor collapsed and a powerful shockwave spread. Some of the workers and bodyguards couldn't avoid it fast enough and all died miserably. The smell of blood spread out. A person gradually walked out from the ruins of the collapsed palace. He was the man in the royal robe. His eyes were calm and lacking any emotion. After he walked out from the ruins, he didn't even look back before he slowly said, "Clean this up. I want to see a new palace in 3 days." After he spoke, hundreds of smoke-like figures appeared and knelt before him. The man in the royal robe waved his sleeve and disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was in the tallest tower in the palace. He stood there, facing the world as he overlooked the palace and the ancient ancestor statue that pierced the sky. "I'm the Dao country's emperor. a true descendant of the ancient ancestor, and his blood flows through me. A mere heir of Yemo, what qualifications does he have to be valued so greatly by Xian Luo? Soul blood. The man in the royal blood looked calm, but his right hand formed a fist. He suddenly began to laugh. This is good as well, this will be a bit interesting. I want to see what kind of wave he can set off. Even though he has the soul blood, he will still have to kneel before me. The man in the royal robe smiled even wider and withdrew his gaze. He waved his right hand and a fist-sized red bead appeared in his grasp. There seemed to be countless mist-like clouds inside, slowly rotating, and there was a soul sitting inside. It was impossible to clearly see what the soul looked like. One could only tell it was the soul of a woman. This soul wasn't complete, it was only part of a soul. The man in the royal robe looked at the red bead in his hand and slowly said, "Yi Dao, servant is here." After the man in the royal robe spoke, the light behind him became twisted and an old man in black walked out. He knelt down on one knee before the man in the royal robe. The man in the royal robe calmly asked, "Did you find her, Emperor? This servant has searched the entire ancient country and couldn't find this woman. Now I have sent people to the Celestials and will receive news soon." "There is no news from the imperial teacher?" The man in the royal robe frowned. The old man kneeling there remained cool and calmly spoke. "Although the imperial teacher gifted the soul of this woman to your majesty, the imperial teacher can't find her. However, this woman will be of great use to your majesty in the future. With this woman your majesty can have a complete ancient country." He only told this servant that he was divinating the future of my ancient Dao country, and his mind was integrated with the underworld. He went to a strange place he had never seen before, and extracted her soul from a piece of heavenly Dao. The man in the royal robe silently pondered for a moment and then looked at the red bead in his hand. His eyes revealed a strange light. "This woman looks too ordinary for me to acknowledge. However, if she is really as imperial teacher says, then I'll take her as my empress. Continue to search for people among the Celestials. If you really can't find any, then find a woman in the ancient country who can fuse with this soul." "Yes." The old man in black got up and was about to leave. He hesitated for a moment and after pondering for a long time, he clasped his hands to speak again. "Emperor, before the imperial teacher went into closed-door cultivation, he said one more thing." "Speak." The man in the royal robe looked at the red bead in his hand, and his voice was filled with majesty. He said that his divination may or may not be true. When he extracted the soul of this woman he saw two images. One was the emperor uniting the ancient country, and the other was the emperor dead. In these two images there was another figure present. This figure was a bit vague and the imperial teacher couldn't see him clearly, but this person had a head of white hair. "Interesting. You can leave." The man in the royal robe revealed a flash of coldness in his eyes. He looked at the bead in his hand and slowly smiled. "You woman, who are you? What kind of relationship do you have with the white-haired figure the imperial teacher saw?" The soul of the woman inside the red bead sat there motionless. Her figure was obscured by the mist and she seemed not to know what was happening at all. At this moment wind blew by and landed the man in the royal robe. The bead also seemed to feel the wind, and the mist around the woman seemed to churn. The fifth drop, sixth drop, until the ninth drop of blood flew out from the vortex and shot toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he stared at the drops of blood that were flying toward him. He didn't dodge and allowed the 5 drops of blood to land between his eyebrows. They seemed to penetrate through his body. When the 5th drop of blood fused, a thunderous rumble came from Wang Lin's body and a powerful force erupted from the blood. Wang Lin couldn't help but take a few steps back, his eyes shining brightly. That powerful feeling made him clench his fists. At this moment, the 6th drop of blood followed shortly after and entered Wang Lin. Thunderous rumbles echoed and all the blood in his body seemed to boil. He rapidly absorbed the bloodline force inside this drop of blood. It flowed through his entire body, and when it entered his heartbeat was like a roaring bolt of thunder. He retreated once more and let out a roar at the sky. Intense pain came from his body. This pain was countless times stronger than the fusion of the previous 4 drops of blood. It was as if his body was being torn apart and new flesh and blood were growing. Shortly after, the seventh drop arrived, and the moment it entered the spot between Wang Lin's eyebrows, his expression became twisted. The veins on his body swelled and the speed of his blood flow reached a limit. Wang Lin's body began to move strangely, and as the blood flowed through his body, his bones also gave off a red light. The ancient bloodline forced inside his body rapidly increased. It went from very thin to extremely pure. The members of the ancient clan were same as the Celestials. The stronger their bloodline, the more noble their identity and the more power they could display. The fusion of 7 drops of blood made Wang Lin's bloodline second only to the ancient Tao Emperor. It has to be known that the Emperor was a descendant of the ancient Emperor, and therefore held the ancient ancestor's bloodline. As a result, after obtaining 6 drops of blood, he became the ancient Tao Emperor. However, Wang Lin didn't have any Ancient One bloodline and hadn't received recognition yet. Even though this was the case, the bloodline formed by 7 drops of blood could compare to the Emperor, who already had the bloodline and had obtained 6 drops of blood. The difference between the two was a difference in essence like that of an emperor and an ordinary citizen. However, this difference wasn't immutable, and the 8th drop of blood flew toward Wang Lin. The moment it fused with him, the bloodline became even more pure and the rumbles from his body became more intense. Bursts of pain came from Wang Lin's bone marrow, causing him to continue to retreat and tremble. The ancient bloodline was the same as the celestial bloodline. It changed the bone marrow. Once the bone marrow was changed, the blood one produced would change and the power of the bloodline would be born. However, it was difficult to change the bone marrow from within, so external force was needed to slowly change it. This external force was the drops of blood that had entered Wang Lin's body. As they flowed through his body, they were rapidly changing his bone marrow. Wang Lin's bloodline had gone from ordinary to noble, from a mess to authentic. The fusion of 8 drops of blood didn't make Wang Lin's blood become pure enough to reach the same level as the Emperor, but it was infinitely close, just a trace more. This gap was crossed and surpassed once the 9th drop fused. 9 drops of blood fused with Wang Lin's bones and changed his bone marrow completely. He now had a bloodline that was even more pure than the Emperor's. In terms of bloodline, Wang Lin had the most pure blood among the Dao clan. However, it was not over yet. The appearance of the soul blood caused the surroundings to be bathed in a purple light. This purple blood had a strange force, and the moment it appeared, it captured Wang Lin's full attention. He looked at the purple drop of blood. A sense of longing from his blood filled his body. The purple blood released a monstrous purple light and imprinted itself between Wang Lin's eyebrows. It didn't fuse with his blood or bloodline. This drop of blood fused with Wang Lin's soul. The purity his bloodline would allow Wang Lin to erupt with ancient power, but it wouldn't change his soul. In the end, his soul would still be that of a member of the ancient Dao clan. However, this soul blood could change Wang Lin's soul, allow his soul to be above the others of the Dao clan, allow him to truly become an existence more noble than that emperor. It would be as if he had become the ancient ancestor's 4th son. The moment the drop of soul blood flew over, Wang Lin was stunned and his eyes were filled with confusion. His body moved back on its down until he landed on the altar. He leaned against Yimo's arm and lied there. The vortex slowly dissipated and soon disappeared without a trace. Everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. If there was any difference, then it was quiet. It was so terrifyingly quiet that there was not the slightest bit of sound. All the fierce beasts had hidden themselves. They trembled and didn't dare to make a sound. There seemed to be a pressure spreading out in this strange silence. Wang Lin was unconscious. If he didn't wake up, this place would remain quiet for tens of thousands of years. If he didn't wake up, no sound would appear here. This pressure came from his body and spread out across the surrounding area. Wang Lin's original body was asleep, and his avatar was floating outside the altar. His avatar sat there with its eyes closed and remained motionless. As Wang Lin was asleep, he had a dream. This dream was different from the dream Dao. It wasn't clear and very blurry. In this dream, Wang Lin saw a person. This was an ordinary-looking man. His body was extremely large and the heavens and earth seemed to be below his feet. He stood there looking over the world with a hint of contempt. If I want this sky to collapse, it will collapse. If I want this earth to break, it will break. If I want a being to die, no one would dare to stop me. If I want no celestials to remain alive, who would dare to save them? I'm an ancient one. I was born before the heavens and earth and survived the beginning of the world. However, before me there were celestials. The celestials wanted to make me their slave, so let me destroy the celestials. If I fail, then all my future generations will become enemies of the celestials and vow to rid the world of celestials. But will I lose? I'll never lose. 9 drops of soul blood I give to my 3 sons. You all take command of my ancient people. Wait for my reincarnation, wait for my heir to appear. Obeying means being immortal. Defying means being a celestial. Defying the celestials means becoming an ancient one. This dream slowly come to an end as the ordinary-looking man spoke those shocking words. Even after Wang Lin opened his eyes, those words still echoed in his ears. The 8 ancient god stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows revealed a hint of a purple glow and slowed rotated. The ancient devil and ancient demon stars in his eyes also rotated and gave off a faint hint of purple. This purple came from that soul blood. It came from Wang Lin's ancient one soul. He slowly sat up and looked at the space before him. After pondering for a long time, a powerful aura that looked down upon the world came from his body. This aura disrespected heavens and the earth. Even if the heavens and earth decay, I won't decay. Even if the world withers, I won't wither. This aura belonged to the defying nature of the ancient ones. At this moment, Wang Lin was vastly different from before. As he sat on the altar, his gaze swept past his surroundings. His gaze moved past his avatar and eventually landed on Yimo's giant arm. His eyes shined brightly. This arm contained a powerful force. This power seemed to be able to tear open the world. This was ancient Dao Yimo's most powerful force. Staring at this arm, Wang Lin slowly raised his right hand and pressed down. The moment he pressed down, his 24 stars rotated and a burst of purple light surrounded him. This purple light entered Yimo's arm. In an instant, the giant arm trembled and seemed like it was going to struggle and resist. Although Wang Lin had obtained Yimo's inheritance, it wasn't perfect. If he wanted to merge with the arm, there would be some difficulties. However, this was only difficult for Wang Lin before he went through the ancient race heavenly blood calamity. Now that he had obtained 9 drops of blood and the drop of soul blood, it was simply insignificant to him. Yimo, give this arm to me. Wang Lin spoke slowly. It was as if he was muttering to himself, but also as if he was speaking to the dead Yimo. His voice was calm, and as he spoke, the purple light from the 24 stars became even stronger. It spread out an aura that would frighten Yimo if he was alive. This aura entered Wang Lin's right hand and he pressed down on the arm once more. There was a thunderous rumble and the arm stopped struggling. The arm slowly shrank until it integrated with Wang Lin's right hand, causing his right hand to suddenly become very different. Wang Lin's right hand was extremely rough compared to his left arm, and was covered in countless complicated runes. It also gave off a hint of greenish blue. It could frighten anyone at a glance. He raised his right hand before him. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he looked at his right arm. After a long time, he grasped at the void. Heaven ripping. Space trembled, and as Wang Lin's right hand ripped, the world collapsed. The shadow of a huge arm appeared behind him and tore open the space. A large rift appeared before Wang Lin and widened. It had been torn open by him. This heaven-tearing power could even kill an early-stage arcane void cultivator. Even mid-stage Arance void cultivators would have to retreat in fear. With this tearing force, the altar Wang Lin was on buzzed and trembled. Ripples echoed as if it was resisting the fallout from the heaven ripping. Wang Lin carefully looked at the altar below him as the ripples echoed. His eyes revealed a strange light. There is something strange about this altar. Since arriving at the altar, Wang Lin hadn't had time to observe this place. Most of his attention had been on the arm on the altar. Even though he was very cautious and had scanned this altar with his divine sense, he hadn't found anything abnormal. However, after he absorbed the blood and the soul blood, along with the ripple caused by heaven ripping, the veil covering the altar was lifting. Wang Lin's eyes shined. Why would the altar appear here, and why is Yimo's right arm here? Wang Lin pondered as he carefully looked at the altar. This altar was very ordinary. Nothing looked abnormal about it. If not for the ripples echoing above it, it would be very difficult to see anything strange about it. As the heaven ripping spell disappeared, The ripples also slowly faded until they returned back to normal. Wang Lin stood up and walked off the altar. At the same time, his avatar also got up and walked forward. After taking one step, his avatar and original body overlapped. The two figures slowly overlapped and slowly fused together. Wang Lin moved his body, and after finding no discomfort, he looked back at the altar. Then there was a flash of coldness in his eyes and his hands formed seals, sending restrictions flying out. There were almost 1 million restrictions. He pointed forward with his right hand and the 1 million restrictions flew out toward the altar. They landed on the altar one by one. Every restriction caused the altar to tremble lightly. As more restrictions landed, the altar trembled even more violently. Near the end, thunderous rumbles echoed, as if the altar was going to collapse. As the altar trembled violently, fine cracks appeared on it. Soon, rubble began to fall off from the altar and scattered. Wang Lin became cautious. His hands formed seals and created even more restrictions. They surrounded the altar and slowly landed on it one by one. This caused the altar to tremble even more violently, and even more rubble fell off. After half an incense stick of time, a layer or rubble had fallen off the altar, and it looked like a layer of fog surrounded it. The altar had shrunk about a circle in size, and even more cracks had appeared on its surface. The strangeness about the altar is likely what's within, but there is a strange force preventing me from seeing what's inside with my divine sense. Wang Lin stared at the altar and created 1 million more restrictions. The countless restrictions landed on the altar, and even more layers fell off until it was only half its original size. Just at this moment, when the altar was covered in cracks, one of the cracks seemed to reach the center of the altar. A blood-red light erupted from the crack and took the shape of a fan. It was as if a gem had been found hidden under mud, and an opening allowed the light to shine through. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he stared at the crack releasing the red light. He controlled the countless restrictions around him and they all flew into that crack. However, just as the restrictions got near the crack, more red light came from another crack. Shortly after, the third, fourth, fifth, more than 10 rays of light shot out from the altar, forming a red ripple. When the large amount of restrictions touched the red ripple, it was like snowflakes touching hot charcoal. A sizzling sounds echoed and they all immediately dissipated. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, and all of the restrictions disappeared due to the red light. It was as if they were natural enemies. Wang Lin stared at the altar that had shrunk more than half and was surrounded by the red light. His eyes shined brightly. This red light looks very familiar. Could this altar be? Wang Lin's heart trembled. The moment the red light spread out and got close to him, Wang Lin's right hand clawed at the red light. Yimo's giant arm suddenly appeared before him, and also clawed at the void before him. Heaven ripping! Wang Lin let out a roar and his right hand tore to the side. With this roar he used the full power of Yimo's right arm, and also his 8-star Ancient God, Ancient Demon, and Ancient Devil power. This tearing force was powerful enough to rip the heavens apart. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the red ripple coming from the altar distorted violently, and was torn apart by Wang Lin. What collapsed with it were the cracks on the altar. Under Wang Lin's heaven-ripping spell, the cracks collapsed on a wide scale. The red light wanted to prevent this but was unable to resist. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the altar collapsed completely. The large round of rubble scattered, and what was revealed before Wang Lin was an octagonal-shaped blood pool-like object that gave off a dazzling red glow. An aura Wang Lin was familiar with spread out from this octagonal blood pool, and Wang Lin was filled with joy. So it turns out to be that there was a clan in the ancient star system called the Sealing Extermination Clan, and they had a spell called the 3-Life Spell. In order to cultivate this spell, one would need the complete altar, but for some reason it was split into 3 parts, and these parts had disappeared. Wang Lin was lucky and obtained the blood pavilion from the blood ancestor in the brilliant void. That blood pavilion was one of the 3 altars. Then he learned of the 3-Life Spell and obtained the second altar from the ancient demon in all heaven. As for the third altar, Wang Lin had looked for it but couldn't find it. When he saw the blood light, a rumble echoed in his mind and he began to speculate. Right now he was certain that this blood pool gave off the same aura as that blood pavilion in the other altar. This was the aura of the Sealing Extermination Clan. 3-Life Spell. I didn't expect to obtain the last altar here. If I can learn it, my overall strength will increase greatly. Wang Lin's heart started beating rapidly. He had been tempted by the 3-life spell, and now that he had obtained the 3rd altar, he was very happy. Without hesitation, Wang Lin waved his hand and the altar he got from the ancient demon flew out, and shortly after, the Blood Ancestor's blood pavilion also flew out. A woman had gone into the blood pavilion before, and she was someone Wang Lin knew. However, over the years, her body had long disappeared and only a wisp of her soul remained. The 3 altars floated before him, and the blood light they gave off began to mix. It was obvious they were drawn to each other. Wang Lin had obtained the method of cultivating the 3-life spell from the woman from the Sealing Extermination clan inside the ancient tomb. At this moment, after pondering a bit, Wang Lin sat down. The 3-life spell of the Sealing Extermination clan is dangerous to learn. However, compared to the benefits, the danger is worth it. Wang Lin's right hand reached toward the void. A clan mark that gave off a ghostly light appeared in his hand. This clan mark still had some dried blood marks on it. It was the Sealing Extermination clan mark. Wang Lin had extracted it from the Sealing Extermination clan woman, who wanted to kill him back in the ancient tomb. Staring at the clan mark, Wang Lin pressed it between his eyebrows. A burning feeling spread out from the mark. Then countless branches extended out from the clan mark and attached themselves to Wang Lin. This kind of pain wasn't enough to affect Wang Lin at all. He remained calm as he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. With the Sealing Extermination clan mark, I activate this altar and summon the sealed Sealing Extermination clan's ancestral spirit. Turn into the sealing blade to cut 3 souls, 3 origin souls, 3 bodies. The moment Wang Lin's voice echoed, the blood he had spat out condensed together and began to wiggle before him rapidly. Then the 3 different altars all released blinding red light that was absorbed by the blood. The blood slowly turned into the shape of a blade. It wasn't large, only about 10 feet long. It looked like overlapping shadows, and if one looked at it for too long, their vision would blur. Looking at it with his divine sense, Wang Lin immediately noticed that this wasn't one blade but 3 blades overlapping each other. The overlap created a strange aura around them. Wang Lin roared, "Cut 3 souls!" The long blade suddenly rose up and silently chopped down from above Wang Lin's head. This blade sliced through Wang Lin's entire body. Wang Lin's body trembled violently and his face turned pale. Unimaginable pain filled his body, making him feel as if his soul was going to collapse. However, he endured the pain and 2 souls slowly flew out from his head. However, just as the blade cut through Wang Lin, it seemed to be unable to withstand the power of Wang Lin's soul and collapsed. Out of the 3 overlapping blades, only 2 remained. Wang Lin's soul had fused with the ancient ancestor soul blood, and was now an ancient Tao soul. So how could this mere blade cut his soul? If not for the fact that Wang Lin's soul was formed by his essence blood, the blade wouldn't be able to cut his soul at all. Even though it had cut Wang Lin's soul in 3, this blade couldn't withstand the rebound force from Wang Lin's soul. It dissipated forever and could never be summoned again. Cut 3 origin souls. Wang Lin endured the pain and let out a roar. As he roared, the double shadow blade rose up and fell down. There was a flash of bloodlight as the blade sliced through Wang Lin. His body trembled violently as this origin soul was split into 3 parts by the mysterious power of the Sealing Extermination clan. At the same time, one blade collapsed into pieces. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and roared without hesitation. Cut 3 bodies. As he roared, the blade that only had 1 shadow remaining sliced down toward Wang Lin. It was no longer silent but created a loud howl. The long blade cut through Wang Lin and then collapsed. As it collapsed, Wang Lin's body divided into 3. These 3 bodies were fused with 3 souls and contained the 3 origin souls. At this moment, the 3 bodies flew toward each of the different Sealing Extermination clan altars. After the 3 altars absorbed the 3 Wang Lins, the blood light around them became even stronger. They slowly rotated around each other, and in the blink of an eye 7 days passed. After 7 days, the light formed the altars had faded a lot, but they were still flickering. Another 7 days passed and the blood light disappeared completely. The moment the blood light disappeared, a powerful aura erupted from one of the altars. This aura was too powerful for the altar to endure, so it ended up collapsing. As it collapsed, the first Wang Lin walked out. At the same time, another altar was rapidly trembling. It instantly disintegrated and pieces of rubble scattered. The second Wang Lin walked out. Shortly after that altar, the blood pavilion erupted layer by layer. The Ancient One aura was too powerful for the blood pavilion to withstand, so it shattered. The third Wang Lin walked out from the destroyed blood pavilion. The first Wang Lin said, 3 life spell. The second Wang Lin calmly said, force open the fortune. The third Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he muttered, 3 bodies return into one. As the 3 Wang Lins spoke, the 3 bodies all took one step forward. They overlapped and began to fuse. After a long time they fused into one person. His white hair danced and he opened his eyes as he floated there. He felt the powerful vitality flowing through his body. There were 3 parts, and each was equal to himself at full power. The 3 life spell, it is indeed mysterious. With this I'll have 3 lives. Wang Lin opened his eyes, which were now filled with determination. He raised his right hand and the soul of a woman appeared. This woman was the one who had hidden herself inside the blood pavilion, someone he knew. Our grudge is gone. I'll send you into the reincarnation cycle. Behave yourself. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the woman's soul disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin looked at the remains of the 3 altars with eyes filled with pity. My soul and body are far too powerful. The altars of the Sealing Extermination clan could not withstand the impact of transforming me. Now that they have collapsed, there will no longer be any more 3 life spells. Wang Lin shook his head. What he had divided was not just his ancient Tao bloodline, but also his avatar. It could be said everything was divided into 3, and as a result he had 3 lives. My body has obtained the ancient Tao bloodline and my ancient demon and ancient devil bodies have reached 8 stars. It is about time to leave. However, before I leave, I need to refine the ghostly sail. With that, I might be able to form my 7th essence. Once the restriction essence appears, my cultivation level will increase from mid-stage spirit void to late-stage spirit void. With my ancient Tao bloodline, I should be able to battle late-stage arcane void cultivators. There is also the battle essence. Back then, all the comprehension turned into the Star of Law. I'll need some time to readjust, and if another essence could be born, then I'll reach the peak of arcane void. Wang Lin muttered to himself before sitting down. His right hand reached out and the ghostly sail appeared. The restriction essence is only secondary. More importantly, since Fan Shanmeng was able to borrow it to perform the illusion spell, this sail must contain the Great Soul Sex Illusion Dao spell. The illusion Dao is the key. I need to study it. If I can gain some insight, perhaps I can use this treasure to look for the 3rd soul, just like the 7-colored Taoist was trying to do. Right now it all depends on who can find the 3rd soul first. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and various complicated plans were being deduced in his mind. I don't know what the 7-colored Taoist saw, but from this anger, he shouldn't have found where the 3rd soul went. Aside from him, there is also old Ghost John. He is also looking for the 3rd soul. I don't know what method he has, but they can't be looked down upon. They triggered the war between the inner and outer realms to find the 3rd soul. Now that the war is over, they are perhaps using that method to search for the 3rd soul. Originally, there were only 2 of them searching, but now that the 4 generals have appeared, they are the 3rd force that is also searching. There is also that other force from the 5-element planet. They have been hiding there for countless years and should show themselves soon. 3rd soul, who are you? Wang Lin silently pondered, and the thoughts in his mind gradually became more clear. Only by finding the 3rd soul can I go to the gate and open it to take everyone to the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and after a long time he opened them. His eyes were calm and he no longer thought about these things. He was about to observe the ghostly sail. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's expression suddenly became serious, as if thunder had rumbled in his mind. He looked into the distance and his expression gradually became gloomy. I forgot one person. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He suddenly remembered one person. If someone were to tell him that person had died, he definitely wouldn't believe it. All-Seer. That person obtained the heavenly Tao blood. Even though the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor said that the blood had problems, there is no way the All-Seer is dead. He never appeared during the war with the Outer Realm. He disappeared without a trace. His schemes were amazing, and he has schemed against me many times. Now that he is hidden, how could I forget about him? Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. The seven-colored celestial sovereign was split into 3 souls and 7 fragments. As for the 7 fragments, I only know that Xianxia is one of them. As for the other 6, I have my guesses. Balsir, is he one of the 7 fragments or the 3rd soul? Wang Lin's eyes shined. He recalled that the 3rd soul had crossed the summoned river and entered the brilliant void. If the 3rd soul ended up in the brilliant void, then it is very likely the All-Seer. If he really is the 3rd soul, it would be far too easy to find. Is he or is he not? Wang Lin frowned. He could never see through the All-Seer. From the moment Wang Lin first became the All-Seer's disciple, his dread already existed. It became even stronger as All-Seer became even more mysterious. The All-Seer has devoured a large amount of disciples, and I saw 3,000 avatars in his body. I didn't know why he was doing this and thought he was just trying to reach the 3rd step. However, looking at it now, perhaps he was trying to form Joss flames with those 3,000 avatars. It is possible. Or did he have some other purpose? Wang Lin thought of many things, but the more he thought, the less he understood what the All-Seer was doing. The All-Seer's fate soul was also not in the divine retribution in the ancient celestial realm. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time before he slowly suppressed this thought. It was useless to think about it now. As time passed, he would naturally get his answers. His eyes lit up and he looked at the ghostly sail. He carefully examined it and saw that it contained countless restrictions. These included the 4 grand restrictions and more. If I want to give birth to the restriction essence, I must fuse all these restrictions. Once I master them all, the restriction essence will form. Wang Lin muttered as his divine sense spread out. He became immersed in the restrictions on the sail. Restrictions appeared in his mind one by one. First he had to know how many restrictions were on this sail. As his divine sense carefully spread out, the sail moved without any wind in Wang Lin's hands. The ghostly face became even more fierce. During these 10 days, Wang Lin remained motionless and spent all his energy on studying the restriction. Millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and billions of restrictions flashed through his mind. It wasn't until the 10th day that Wang Lin slowly raised his head. His eyes were bloodshot. They can evolve on their own. It is impossible to calculate their exact amount. Wang Lin frowned and massaged his temples. He had grown very tired during these 10 days. This is a perfect restriction group that has been fused with this sail. Only by breaking the sail can I see through how they were formed. Wang Lin stared at the sail and revealed hesitation in his eyes. After a long time, he clenched his teeth and his left hand reached out at the void. There was a flash of blood light and the blood sword appeared in his hand. A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes and he sliced down with the blood sword. A thunderous bang rang out when the blood sword penetrated the sail and tore open a gap. The moment the gap appeared, Wang Lin's divine sense rushed into it. Shortly after, the ghostly face on the sail became fierce, and it released waves of roars that echoed across the area. It was as if a violent wind was blowing out from the sail along with countless restrictions. The restrictions surrounded Wang Lin, filled this endless void, and spread across every inch of the cloud sea. The spatial crack in the cloud sea was completely occupied by a storm of restrictions. Wang Lin's figure was drowned by the endless amount of restrictions. When the restriction storm that occupied the entire cloud sea dissipated into one restriction, Wang Lin's restriction essence would form. He would have the power to battle late-stage arcane void cultivators. In this cave world, whether it was the inner or outer realm, or any of the spatial fractures, it was rare to see a storm of this many restrictions. These restrictions were originally only simple seals, but now there were too many of them overlapping, making it impossible to see them clearly. It was like a layer of misty light that formed an endless storm. This majestic scene was something only Wang Lin could feel. The beasts inside the spatial crack all chose to avoid this storm of restrictions. The beasts all escaped through various exits in panic. This was like a beast tide. They rushed out from the spatial crack, and in just a few days, the area around spatial crack in the cloud sea was filled with countless beasts. They didn't run too far, they just floated outside the spatial crack. They stared at the crack in fear while trembling. The beast tide that appeared in the cloud sea attracted the attention of a lot of people. Some people wanted to enter the spatial crack to see what was happening, but they were stopped by the terrifying restriction storm. The storm inside the crack was still raging, and the ghostly howls were spreading in all directions. Deep within the restriction storm, Wang Lin sat there with his eyes closed. His eyes twitched as he continued to deduce the restrictions. The ghostly sail had been cut open by Wang Lin and formed this restriction storm. Wang Lin didn't panic at all, as if all of this was within his expectations. He calmly deduced the restrictions and slowly grasped for the restriction essence. Restrictions were actually just a type of formation. To understand their essence, one needed a powerful divine sense. Wang Lin had already reached the mid-stage of spirit void, so his divine sense was powerful enough to comprehend this essence. At this moment, his divine sense spread out within this spatial crack. As he continued to deduce, the amount of restrictions within his divine sense reduced. This wasn't the restrictions disappearing, it was them fusing. Every 2 restrictions he deduced would fuse into one. As time passed, the speed of the fusion increased. Soon, after almost every breath, a lot of restrictions would disappear and new ones would appear. The restriction essence is a type of computation, and computation encompasses everything. It can even be used to divinate the future and change it. This requires an extremely powerful divine sense. The All-Seer was very well versed in this art, and I couldn't see it before. I fear he hid his amazing abilities in restrictions. Wang Lin opened his eyes, revealing a flash of coldness. He still dreaded the All-Seer. The All-Seer was like someone gazing at him from the dark, making him feel uncomfortable. But when he looked back, he could not find the source of that gaze. After 7 days, the restriction storm inside the spatial crack had shrunk greatly. Nearly half of the restrictions had disappeared and fused together. However, Wang Lin couldn't relax at all. He found that although the restrictions had fused, they were still constantly changing. If they didn't fuse back into one in one go, they would eventually multiple into even more. Even now, the restrictions were showing signs of splitting. Just one split would make all of Wang Lin's previous efforts disappear. His divine sense was like a large net that surrounded all the restrictions. At this moment, his eyes lit up and he began to deduce and condense the restrictions. The further this went on, the more difficult it became. His divine sense was divided into countless copies as he continued to deduct and integrate the restrictions. 10 days of time passed by in a flash. The area which Wang Lin's divine sense covered had shrunk in half, and the number of restrictions had decreased greatly. However, the splitting force coming from the restrictions had almost reached a peak. Wang Lin remained motionless, but his expression was extremely solemn. He had used his full divine sense and computational abilities to find the opportunity for a third fusion. Another 10 days passed. Just as a small portion of restrictions was about to split, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. Wang Lin's eyes revealed enlightenment as he murmured, "A restriction is a type of formation, and a formation is a grand Tao. The heavens and earth also have formations, it is the rule. People also have their own formations, it is fate. This restriction formation is simply the rule a cultivator set. Shake the world with the rules you set yourself." Restrictions fuse again. The restrictions surrounded by his divine sense fused once more. This was the third fusion. After this fusion, there were only about 10 million restrictions left, but these 10 million restrictions were very complete. They seemed to contain no flaws, and they each released a powerful aura. It would be very difficult to fuse them again. Wang Lin's face was pale. Fusing 3 times was his limit. To fuse all the restrictions back into one was far more difficult than he expected. He couldn't relax at all, and this invisible pressure forced Wang Lin to pay extra attention. This made him even more tired. Restrictions fuse. Wang Lin roared, strengthening his divine sense. His divine sense squeezed from all directions and a thunderous rumble echoed. The 10 million restrictions around Wang Lin were fused by force. However, this fusion was only half complete, so some restrictions collapsed. They didn't disappear but split into several more restrictions. As these restrictions collapsed, even more restrictions collapsed. As a result, in just a few short breaths, these 10 million restrictions rose in number. Wang Lin's divine sense could not hold them in and began to expand. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. If he didn't stop this immediately, his attempt would fail. His original body walked out, leaving his avatar sitting there. After his original body walked out, the ancient Tao aura surged out. His body trembled and his ancient devil body walked out and stopped on one side. At the same time, his ancient demon body walked out and stopped at the other side. The remaining ancient god body retreated backwards, forming a triangle around his avatar with his ancient devil and ancient demon bodies. Restrictions fuse. Wang Lin's avatar's expression became fierce and let out a roar. His divine sense became even stronger, and at the same time his three ancient Tao bodies integrated their strength into the divine sense. The fusion of the restrictions increased rapidly. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Whether it was the restrictions that were fusing or the ones that were splitting, Wang Lin's divine sense forced them all to condense. In the blink of an eye, the amount of restrictions decreased greatly until there were less than 5 million restrictions around Wang Lin. This was the fourth fusion. These 5 million restrictions were like 5 million wild horses that didn't want to be tamed, and each one shined brightly. If not for Wang Lin's divine sense, which was being strengthened by his three ancient Tao bodies, trapping them, they would immediately scatter in all directions. Wang Lin's eyes were red and completely bloodshot. The lines of blood in his eyes intersected as if they formed some strange rule. Everyone has eyes, pupils, and blood veins. However, the shape and amount of blood veins were different for everyone. These blood veins appeared when Wang Lin was tired, but they were also the method Wang Lin had thought of to help give birth to the restriction essence. Restrictions, fifth fusion. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and the sixth essence in his body flew out. The six essence swords flew out and rapidly rotated. 2 swords rotated around each of his 3 original bodies, with his avatar in the middle. The moment the 6 swords appeared, the 5 million restrictions were forced to fuse once more. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the restrictions fused for the 6th, 7th, and 8th times. The repeated fusion lowered the amount of restrictions even more. It wasn't always just 2 restrictions fusing, sometimes 3, 4, 5 would fuse. As a result, after the 8th fusion, there were only several thousand restrictions left around Wang Lin. These thousands of restrictions all contained the 4 great restrictions, as well as some that didn't belong in the cave world. They were hundreds of feet large and vibrated as they floated there. Staring at these thousands of restrictions, even more red lines appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. 172. That's enough. Wang Lin stood up and raised his right hand. He hit his chest with his right hand and spat out blood. After this mouthful of blood appeared, Wang Lin waved his sleeve. The blood split into 3,172 parts and flew toward every restriction. Blood restriction, 9th fusion. Wang Lin roared. He was using his blood to fuse these restrictions once more. The blood light shined brightly. As the restrictions began to overlap, the blood light became even more intense. In the end, only 9 restrictions remained before Wang Lin. These 9 restrictions were tens of thousands of feet tall like small mountains. They gave off an ancient aura as they floated there. However, just as the 9 restrictions formed, one of them suddenly collapsed into countless restrictions and scattered in all directions. Shortly after, the other restrictions also shattered. This sudden change made it so Wang Lin couldn't think. He quickly raised his right hand and pointed at his right eye. With this, Wang Lin's right eye sprayed out blood and a giant pupil appeared in the blood mist. This pupil was filled with countless red lines. What were rules? It was likely that very few people considered this. Also, what was the distinction from laws? It was something people had pondered for millions of years but found nothing. This was something even Wang Lin was confused about. Sometimes he thought he had figured it out, but he was just invalidating his previous guesses most of the time. Rules, laws, formation of the world. This was Wang Lin's current speculation. What were heaven and earth? The heavens and earth of the cave world were the heavenly Tao. What was it that allowed it to determine the rules and laws of this world and give birth to them? Wang Lin didn't understand. Even though his battle essence had formed a new law, he still didn't understand what it was. He just knew that whether it was law or rules, they were intangible. However, if they were tangible, they would become lines that would entangle themselves around everything. Just like how countless blurry lines would appear around someone when he used the stop spell. These lines were Wang Lin's understanding of rules and laws. Every line was different. They intersected to form rules, and the will above them all was law. This was heaven and earth, this was the heavenly Tao. Wang Lin's understanding of restrictions was that when the world was born, the earliest creatures worshipped the heavens until doubt formed, and finally they began to question the heavens. They began to imitate rules and laws to give birth to a technique. This technique was formations and restrictions. Throughout these days of comprehension, he was not studying the difference between restrictions but searching for the origin of restrictions. In his view, if these invisible lines were rules and laws, he would need to form his own lines if he wanted to form his own restriction essence. These lines would have to become part of his body for this to succeed. He had cut open the ghostly sail, and as he was being surrounded by the countless restrictions, he thought of a method. That was using the blood veins in his eyes. The blood veins in his eyes would become the lines of the rules of the world. After fusing with all the restrictions, his eyes would become something like the heavens and earth. His eyes would be the restriction essence. His thoughts would be the will of the rules of this world. No one had thought of this method throughout the ages. Wang Lin was the first one. He was bold, and once he decided on something, he wouldn't casually change his mind. The illusory red eye appeared before him, and the blood veins in the eye were clearly visible. Wang Lin let out a roar and the blood veins expanded, shrouding a large amount of restrictions. At this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pressed toward his left eye. An illusion of his left eye appeared and formed another huge eyeball. After these two pupils appeared, blood veins flashed and spread out, fusing with the restrictions. After half an incense stick of time, there were no restrictions remaining, only two giant eyeballs floating there. With a thought from Wang Lin, the two illusory eyeballs flashed and rapidly dissipated. They disappeared into Wang Lin's eyes, then he closed his eyes. His three bodies fused back with his original body and he took a step forward. He overlapped with his original body and fused back into one. His scattered divine sense slowly condensed back into his body as well. The six essence swords slowly rotated around Wang Lin. The aura of the essences made Wang Lin's figure a bit blurry. Everything in this space calmed down, as if nothing had happened. Only Wang Lin remained sitting there, motionless. However, an extremely powerful aura spread out from his body. This aura was formed by his powerful mid-stage spirit void cultivation. At this moment, the aura seemed to be boiling and showed signs of increasing. This aura became stronger and stronger. As it spread out, the six essence swords around Wang Lin buzzed in joy. Joy for the birth of the seventh essence. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened and revealed a gaze that would terrify anyone who saw it. His gaze had no color, but if anyone were to meet Wang Lin's eyes right now, they would have the illusion that his eyes were blood red. At the source of that gaze were bloodlines. These bloodlines intersected like the rules of the world. Every line of blood contained restrictions. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he looked across the space around him. He could see countless fuzzy lines. These lines were rules. Wang Lin raised his right hand and gently picked at something. The action looked ordinary, but he had picked up a line that others could not see. The moment he picked up this line, a block of cold ice appeared in the distance. It appeared far too suddenly and immediately froze the area. When Wang Lin let go of the line, the ice in the distance shattered and scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's expression remained calm and his right hand picked up another line. In the distance, the space suddenly collapsed, forming a black hole. This black hole released a powerful suction force that sucked up the surrounding dust. After a long time, Wang Lin closed his eyes, and when he reopened them, his right hand formed a seal. He pointed 3 inches away from his eyes. The red light from his eyes gradually became monstrous. The bloodlines in his eyes slowly moved. He endured the intense pain until they all fused into one line. One eye, one Dao. This bloodline was formed by all the lines. It wasn't vertical like the pupil of a python but horizontal across Wang Lin's pupil. The red light spread out and gathered at the tip of Wang Lin's finger. The red light became brighter and brighter until it became a ghostly scarlet-red restriction light. After a long time, Wang Lin lowered his right hand and pointed forward. There was a flash of ghostly light and a long sword slowly began to take shape before him. This sword was illusionary, and there seemed to be countless restrictions inside. The moment this sword appeared, Wang Lin's long hair moved without any wind and popping sounds echoed inside his body. The aura inside him increased greatly from mid-stage spirit void to late-stage spirit void. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and clenched his right hand. Due to the increase in his cultivation level, the space around him trembled as if he had grasped it in his hand. Wang Lin slowly stood up and waved his sleeve. The 7 swords formed by his essences entered his body and disappeared one by one. Wang Lin grasped at the void and the ghostly sail that had a gap appeared in his hand. With one gaze, the gap rapidly closed until there was no defect remaining. The ghostly face on the sail was still strange, but now it looked more familiar to Wang Lin. This ghostly sail was now Wang Lin's own treasure. The immortal astral continent's great soul sex illusion spell is also a kind of restriction. It is part of the restriction essence. Restrictions are illusionary just like rules. If you say they exist, they exist. When you're powerful enough to ignore them, they don't exist. This is an illusion. It is similar to true and false but also very different. Although I have comprehended the restriction essence, it is not complete. It only formed based on my own understanding. For the true restriction essence to form, it would require one to turn oneself into the heavens and earth. Make your own rules become the rules of the heavens and earth. Make your own will become the will of the heavens and earth. This is very difficult. Wang Lin shook his head in silence. He put away the ghostly sail and walked away. There are still a lot of things that need to be done, and it would take some time to study the illusion on this sail. However, it is time to leave this place. Wang Lin's white hair fluttered as he gradually left this place. Wang Lin's harvest on this trip was great. His ancient Tao bodies had reached 8 stars. He had reached the late stage of spirit void. He had obtained the ghostly sail to control the ship, and had even formed an alliance with Fan Shanlu. Most importantly, he had seen a method of searching for the third soul. At the same time, on the immortal astral continent, within the land of the celestials, a rare battle was occurring in the sky above. It was very difficult to detect, and the cultivators below didn't have the cultivation level to detect it. For many cultivators, they just saw that the sky had been hazy this month and that fog seemed to be churning. Xianluo, you're a lot weaker than before. It should be time for your reincarnation. I don't know if you have found a guardian. If not, I can gift you one. A blood sun shined brightly and Xianluo spoke calmly from within. Dao, you have been blocking me since I entered the celestial mainland. If you continue, I'll kill your entire sect. Kill my entire sect? Since you're so anxious, you must have some important matters in my celestial land. Everywhere I need to go is important. Are you going to make way or not? Xianluo didn't even bother scheming and coldness appeared in his eyes. Outside the spatial crack in the cloud sea, there were still a large amount of fierce beasts gathered around it. They still couldn't forget the restriction storm that had driven them out from the spatial crack a few months ago. However, the spatial crack was their home, so they had been hanging around it because they were unwilling to leave. As time passed, these fierce beasts became irritated, but none of them dared to enter, so they could only let out low roars. On this day, a white figure slowly came out of the spatial crack, and his appearance immediately caused the beasts to retreat. They could clearly feel a terrifying aura coming from Wang Lin's body. When Wang Lin walked out from the spatial crack, his gaze swept by the large amount of fierce beasts. But he didn't pause. He took a step forward and disappeared. It wasn't until after Wang Lin had been gone for a long time that the surrounding beasts slowly closed in on the spatial rift. A few carefully went inside, and after they found no danger, a large amount of them returned back into the spatial crack. Wang Lin walked through the stars as he pierced through the void. He would sometimes appear but disappear instantly. Soon Wang Lin arrived at the edge of the cloud sea. This was where the new celestial realm was located. The floating continent with the silver river surrounding it gave off a soft glow that lit up the surrounding area. Fluctuations of restrictions echoed as they protected the celestial realm. Looking at this place, Wang Lin's expression was no longer cold. This was a place he had created and the only other place he considered home in this cave world beside planet Suzaku. There were many people he knew here, so he could not give up on this place. The Silver River from the Summon River contains a lot of restrictions, but it is not powerful enough. Before, Wang Lin didn't have the ability to make these restrictions stronger, but now he could. Wang Lin didn't enter the celestial realm but stood outside, staring at the Silver River. After looking at it for a while, the horizontal bloodlines that had disappeared from his eyes reappeared and gave off a ghostly red glow. Wang Lin raised his right hand and waved. The bloodlines in his eyes silently appeared before him and flew toward the silver river. At this instant, the bloodlines in his eyes shined and the bloodlines outside shined as if they were connected. They both flew toward the silver river. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked at the stars. The blurry lines of laws appeared before him. He moved his right hand and a large number of these lines gathered around the silver river. This should allow the celestial realm to remain safe during the search for the third soul. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and then walked toward the silver river. The moment he entered the celestial realm, Master Hongshan and company noticed him. They all awakened from their cultivation and flew into the sky. Qinglin, Qingshui, Situnan, Master South Cloud, and company all floated there, looking at the white figure in the distance and smiled. Even more people Wang Lin was familiar with noticed him. When they saw the white figure, they smiled. Wang Lin looked at the familiar faces and heartwarming smile, and he also smiled. He saw Red Butterfly beside Qingshui. It was obvious the father and daughter had gotten to know each other. He saw Qing Shuang behind Qing Lin, and in the distance there was a melancholy man. He silently looked at Qing Shuang. His expression was complicated and sad, but even more so, he was satisfied. He was Zhou Yi. Wang Lin also saw Zhou Ru. In his heart, although Zhou Ru was already an adult, she was still a child. The tiger still accompanied Zhou Ru. His gaze swept by everyone and he gently smiled. "I've returned home." These 3 words set off a burst of cheers in the celestial realm. The western part of the celestial realm was originally empty, but a clan from the ancient star system had settled here. This was the Blue Silk clan. Dao Master Blue Dream was sitting inside a hut. He had built himself as he looked into the sky and revealed a smile. His daughter, Li Qianmei, was not beside him but instead had gone into closed-door cultivation. Dao Master Blue Dream felt that Li Qianmei's cultivation was lacking, so when he brought the people of the Blue Silk clan here, he made her go into closed-door cultivation to comprehend his essence. After simply conversing with many of his friends, Wang Lin left. Along with him were Situ Nan, Zhou Ru, Big Head, 13 and others. They settled down in the mountains in the north. During this period of time, Wang Lin had gone to see Blue Master Dao Dream. When he heard that Li Qianmei was in closed-door cultivation, he let out a breath of relief for some unknown reason. Perhaps it was because he didn't know what he would say if he were to see Li Qianmei. Even he didn't know whether the feeling behind him and Li Qianmei was just gratitude or love. Gratitude is not love. Li Qianmei's words still echoed in Wang Lin's ears. The new celestial realm was like a paradise. It was far away from the dispute that was happening outside as people looked for the third soul. Due to Wang Lin's return, the cultivators here became even more confident and continued their peaceful lives. Wang Lin lived on a mountain. There was a very simple house here. This place was Wang Lin's home. Zhou Ru would not leave. She accompanied Wang Lin like a daughter. She would occasionally look at Wang Lin with gaze full of attachment. Looking at the grown-up Zhou Ru, aside from warmth, Wang Lin also felt pain. The pain was because he thought of Li Muwen and what had happened back on planet Suzaku. He felt like he had wronged Wan Er. His pain was something only he knew, something only he could see. And 2,000 years was enough to hide everything. There was also 13 and Big Head. They were cultivating here. With Wang Lin's occasional pointer, they gained a lot of enlightenment. Wang Lin returned Big Head's soul blood and released the servant seal, giving Big Head his freedom. However, Big Head didn't choose to leave, but sometimes he would look at the sky, depressed. Wang Lin knew Big Head was homesick, only his home was no longer there. The memories of his painful childhood had become precious to him, and he was unwilling to give them up. 13 was a simple person. He didn't think about much. He only wanted to cultivate so he could become his teacher's strongest disciple. When his teacher needed him, he would give up everything including his life. As for Situnan, he would drink wine with Wang Lin all day and pat Wang Lin's back. He looked very happy, and when they were drinking, it was as if he had forgotten all his worries. Occasionally, he would be drunk and look at Wang Lin while feeling melancholy. He wasn't feeling melancholy about Wang Lin's growth but the fact that he hadn't been a king for a long time. Zhou Yi also came once. His melancholy expression became even more intense after he came to drink with Wang Lin. He never said a word and just began drinking with Wang Lin. He looked at Wang Lin profoundly and revealed the first smile before he left with a nod. His back was bleak. He was still trying to make Qing Shui recognize his existence or remember him. No matter the outcome, he had chosen to wait even if it meant waiting for a lifetime. Soon Wang Lin had spent 1 month in the new celestial realm. During this time he took out the celestial pavilion he had obtained in the Thunder Celestial Realm. He took out all the celestial spells inside and gave them to Qing Lin and company. They would arrange for these celestial spells to be passed down, which would increase the overall strength of the celestial realm. At the same time, outside the celestial realm, a giant mess was slowly unfolding. The 4 celestial generals had used a rather special method to look for the third soul. They had combined their power, and with the help of the celestial bloodline of many celestials, they formed a formation to look for the third soul. Of course, there were some unknown special methods. This was something even Wang Lin didn't know about. Aside from the ancient celestials led by the 4 generals, old Ghost John didn't move at all. His divine sense had been merely locked on to the 4 generals, watching them search. He didn't hide his thoughts at all, and the 4 generals naturally felt it, but they strangely didn't care. It seemed like they had some relationship with old Ghost John and didn't mind being monitored. As for the 7-colored Taoist, after leaving the Cloud Sea, he summoned the sovereign and the concubines. They rushed into the inner realm, headed toward the brilliant void, and began searching carefully. They seemed to use a certain kind of spell. This was a spell created due to the battles between the inner and outer realms. The deaths of these countless cultivators seemed to have created an opportunity for the 7-colored Taoist. Wang Lin was also looking for the third soul. During this month of time, he spent most of his time studying how to use the ghostly sail and controlling the illusion spell inside. This would take time, and even though he was anxious, there was no faster way. However, compared to searching for the third soul, there was another thorn in Wang Lin's heart that he had to remove first. Even if he couldn't pull it out, he had to figure out where this thorn was and how it would be fatal. This thorn was the All-Seer. This was not the first time Wang Lin had schemed against the All-Seer, but it was the first time he was going to resolve this 1,000-year entanglement. All-Seer, where are you hiding? Wang Lin was sitting outside his house when his eyes lit up. He closed his eyes and he immersed himself in the sliver of the All-Seer's soul he had kept until now. He was going to use this soul to find where the All-Seer's original body was and kill him. Without removing the All-Seer, Wang Lin could not be at ease. This person was the biggest variable beside the third soul. Wang Lin's idea was to use the All-Seer's avatar soul to divinate where the All-Seer was. He closed his eyes and he saw where he had confined the All-Seer's avatar soul. Over the years, Wang Lin had used the All-Seer's avatar soul to divinate countless life and death situations, and it had been a great help to him. If not for the fact that he felt like the All-Seer's existence was a great threat to him, he wouldn't want to provoke him. After all, in Wang Lin's heart, the All-Seer's mysteriousness was something he never felt from another person. What the hell is he? And what kind of plan does he have? Wang Lin frowned as his mind fused with the All-Seer's avatar and slowly began to divinate. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin sat outside his house and didn't move at all. His mind was fully integrated with the All-Seer and he had that illusion where he had become the All-Seer. This was not the first time he felt this feeling. In fact, when he was facing danger from the All-Seer, he had already experienced this. As he integrated, Wang Lin gradually calmed down, and although his eyes were closed, the celestial realm was in his mind. Everything in the heavens was in his eyes. Nothing could escape his divination. This kind of feeling would make one expand infinitely. Wang Lin seemed to have forgotten his name and had become part of the All-Seer. Under this integration, his divine sense spread out around his body. With this method, Wang Lin wanted to find the All-Seer through the connection between the All-Seer's avatar and original body. However, to do this, he had to fully integrate with the All-Seer's avatar. This was not his first time using this method. He had carefully thought about whether there would be any danger, but he couldn't think of any issues. Just as Wang Lin was fusing with the All-Seer's avatar, there was a meteor slowly floating through the summoned river. The All-Seer was sitting inside the meteor, and he revealed a strange smile. His strange white hair danced in a strange way, giving him the air of a celestial. However, his smile broke this whole image and made it look very grim. His eyes slowly opened and shined brightly. The smile on the corner of his mouth became even wider and his gaze seemed to penetrate through the meteor, through the stars, and through the celestial realm to see the figure sitting there. You are worthy of being this old man's disciple. You can't escape my hands. The higher your cultivation level, the more you will help his old man. The more benefits I'll obtain. 7 essences. Good. The all-seer smiled and clenched his right hand. The aura of the karma essence spread out from his fist. It was the karma essence, the real karma essence. Left hand controls life and right hand controls death. This old man knows as well. The all-seer placed his left hand on his knee. Aside from the karma essence, a second essence appeared in his hands. It was life and death. Eyes closed are false and eyes open are true. As the all-seer closed and opened his eyes, the true and false essence appeared. What was even more shocking was that there was a flame raging in the all-seer's left eye and a bolt of thunder flashing across his right eye. These I know. This old man also has the slaughter essence. Between the all-seer's eyebrow, a vague vortex appeared. There was another all-seer inside in a gray robe. Very good. This old man has accepted all of this, now this 7th essence. The all-seer's eyes lit up and his pupils became filled with blood lines. In a short period of time, these blood lines almost completely covered his eyes, and restrictions began to appear. However, the restrictions inside his eyes would take some time to completely fuse with the bloodlines. It wouldn't take long for the all-seer to comprehend the complete restriction essence. The bloodlines in the eyes become the rules of the world and make yourself into the world. Disciple, you really surprise teacher. No one has thought of this method before. Very good. You are indeed worthy of being the heaven-defying child I spent countless years divinating. My plan will be completed with you, it will be completed. The all-seer licked his lips and revealed a look of excitement. This kind of expression was extremely rare to see from the all-seer. I have a tree that I planted 2,000 years ago, and now it has bloomed, but it is not time to harvest the fruits yet. I have to send out more nourishment. The all-seer's eyes lit up and a large amount of restrictions fused with the bloodlines in his eyes. In this short period of time, the restrictions fused with nearly 30% of the bloodlines and were continuing to fuse. However, just at this moment, the all-seer's expression suddenly narrowed and his smile disappeared. Even the restrictions that were rapidly fusing with his eyes stopped. In the new celestial realm, Wang Lin had been sitting outside his house for 5 days. At this moment, he opened his eyes and forced himself to separate from his fusion with the all-seer. His expression was gloomy and suspicion appeared in his eyes as he looked at his body. His eyebrows were tightly furrowed. Strange, when I fuse with the all-seer's soul, why do I feel like I lost some essence? Wang Lin pondered and carefully observed his 7 essences. However, no matter how he looked, his essences weren't reduced, which made him feel a bit at ease. However, doubt still filled his heart. My essences didn't decrease. But why do I feel this way? Was it an illusion? Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and once again fused with the all-seer's soul. He slowly integrated, but just as he was about to fully fuse, he suddenly stopped the integration by force and suddenly stood up. Wang Lin's expression was as gloomy as the cold winter ice. He looked up at the sky with a cold gaze. Something's wrong. This feeling can't be an illusion. There is something weird about the all-seer's avatar. Wang Lin's right hand hit his forehead and pulled something out. Smoke came out of his forehead and turned into a soul that looked like the all-seer. The all-seer's avatar's soul sat there motionless. What is the problem? Wang Lin stared at the soul and his divine sense carefully searched it. However, he found nothing, which made him feel even more doubt. There is no clue, and my essences didn't lessen. It is just my feeling. Could my feeling be wrong? This avatar has some connection with the all-seer's original body, and I want to use it to find the all-seer. However, why do I feel like this avatar and the connection are all part of the all-seer's scheme? Wang Lin's heart trembled. He couldn't believe his own speculations. Back in the demon spirit land, I killed the all-seer's avatar with Sundered Night and took his avatar's soul as my prize. Could it be that it was an intentional act by the all-seer? This seems too unbelievable. Wang Lin recalled what took place back then, and couldn't find any trace of it being deliberately manipulated by the all-seer. Looking at the all-seer's avatar's soul, Wang Lin's expression changed constantly and became even more gloomy. He didn't understand. His eyes lit up and he immediately disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was in the southern part of the celestial realm. He was beneath a towering mountain covered in snow. Cold wind howled and there were specks of crystals in the wind. The wind contained snowflakes, and when they land on your body, they were extremely cold. Wang Lin jumped toward the mountain and flew toward the top. The cold wind blew on his face but was unable to stop him at all. When he got close to the mountainside, Wang Lin saw Xianxia. She was dressed in white and looked at the world before her. She looked bleak, and her eyes were filled with struggle and reminiscence. Behind her, Zhou seemed to be whispering something, and his gaze toward Xianxia was filled with gentleness and love. They didn't notice Wang Lin's arrival and he didn't disturb them. He flew past them and arrived at the top of the mountain. There was a white pavilion here filled with celestial energy that formed a giant vortex in the sky. It could clearly be seen from a distance. Wang Lin stepped out of the void just outside the pavilion. The door of the pavilion silently opened. Qing Lin appeared in a blue shirt, looking like a scholar. He smiled at Wang Lin. "It is rare for Brother Wang to come. I wonder, why are you looking for me?" Although Qing Lin had said he would take Wang Lin as his disciple as time passed, this matter was never mentioned again. Wang Lin's current cultivation level and identity naturally made Qing Lin change the way he addressed Wang Lin. This was to show respect to someone that was his equal. "I heard that you were known for your divination, Senior Qing Lin. I want to ask Senior to help me divinate something." Wang Lin clasped his hands at Qing Lin with a serious expression. Qing Lin saw Wang Lin's serious expression and immediately withdrew his smile. He said in a serious tone, "Good, I'll do my best. Tell me what needs to be done." "The soul in my hand belongs to an avatar of the All-Seer from the brilliant void. This All-Seer is known for his divination and now has hidden somewhere. I fear something unexpected will be caused by him, so I want to find him through his avatar's soul." But Wang Lin spoke of what he felt. He waved his right hand and the All-Seer's avatar soul appeared in his grasp. After hearing Wang Lin's words, Qing Lin's face became serious. His eyes shined as he stared at the All-Seer's soul. "There is such a thing. Let me see this soul." Qing Lin raised his right hand and grabbed the All-Seer's avatar's soul to take a closer look. After a long time, Qing Lin frowned. He withdrew his divine sense from the All-Seer's avatar's soul and returned it to Wang Lin. "There is nothing wrong. This soul is no different from other avatar souls, and it is very weak. It could die at any time. You also can't find it." Wang Lin pondered a bit before saying, "How about this? I'll merge with it and your divine sense will enter my body to see if there is any change to my essences." Qing Lin nodded. Allowing someone else's divine sense to enter his body, while he was completely immersed in fusing with the All-Seer's avatar soul, was very dangerous. If the other party had any ill intent, it would greatly harm Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin trusted Qing Lin. Although they hadn't spent much time together, given all that had happened between them, it was enough to obtain his trust. Qing Lin felt very emotional toward Wang Lin's words. He understood Wang Lin and knew how cautious Wang Lin was. Hearing Wang Lin say such words showed how much Wang Lin trusted him. Wang Lin didn't speak more and sat down before Qing Lin. Before him was the All-Seer's avatar's soul. He closed his eyes and his mind entered the All-Seer's avatar's soul to fuse with it. Qing Lin's eyes shined on the side and he wiped away all distraction in his mind. His divine sense entered Wang Lin and carefully looked around. This caused Qing Lin to tremble, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. 7 essences. Before I heard he had 6 essences. 6 is already unimaginable, but now there are 7. How exactly did Wang Lin cultivate to have 7 essences? This is simply too amazing. Qing Lin took a deep breath and looked at Wang Lin with shock in his eyes. However, what shocked him even more was that when his divine sense entered Wang Lin, he not only felt the essences, but also another power that made his heart tremble. This power made him feel like he was an ant facing the heavens. This aura that shocked him was Wang Lin's bloodline. The aura coming from the bloodline was very ancient, and seemed to exist along with the world. All life had to bow and tremble in fear and awe before this aura. This aura was extremely tyrannical. It seemed like it would erase you from reincarnation itself if you dared to show it any disrespect. Qinglin's face immediately turned pale and he subconsciously took a few steps back. His gaze toward Wang Lin was no longer filled with shock but horror. I knew he had the body of an ancient god, but the aura coming from his body does not belong to an ancient god. What kind of aura is this? It is so terrifying. After pondering for a moment, Qinglin forced his heart to calm down and began to observe Wang Lin. This was also the key moment of Wang Lin's fusion with the All-Seer's avatar's soul. As he watched, Qinglin's expression suddenly changed. He vaguely felt that each of the 7 essences inside Wang Lin, especially the restriction essence, had split apart off and began to operate on their own outside of Wang Lin's control, as if they were being manipulated by a strange force. Wang Lin didn't notice any of this but just felt like something was wrong. While he was fused with the All-Seer's soul, the sliver of restriction essence cycled even faster inside Wang Lin. Something's wrong. The more Qinglin saw, the stranger he felt. With no hesitation, he pointed to the spot between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Stop spell. With one point, Wang Lin's body trembled and stopped. Everything inside him was forced to stop by the stop spell. Next, Qinglin's finger slid down to Wang Lin's chest. Then he pulled out a thread out from Wang Lin's chest and wrapped it around his finger. Qinglin's eyes lit up as he stared at the thread. This thread was a portion of the restriction essence that was moving on its own. Qinglin's divine sense gathered on this thread. When he entered it, his mind rumbled and the world around him suddenly became chaotic. When he could see clearly again, a familiar star system appeared before him. This star system was the summoned river. Wang Lin's restriction essence that moved on its own was brought here. Qinglin was here with his divine sense and saw the thread before him. The thread extended into the distance with no trace of it ending. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and Qinglin followed the thread. I want to see if it's the All-Seer's original body causing a problem or someone else. Qinglin's expression was gloomy. He followed that line into the distance. About half an incense stick of time later, Qinglin had chased into the distance. However, a burst of 7-colored light shined where the thread was extending toward. An ancient voice echoed when the 7-colored light appeared. Qinglin, this is not something you should get involved in. Scram for this old man. With that voice, the 7-colored light flashed violently. It turned into a blade that chopped down toward Qinglin. This blade occupied almost the entire star domain. As it moved, the entire star domain seemed to tremble. Qinglin's eyes narrowed. He stopped moving and opened his arms after forming a seal. Star, moon, sun, 3 light protection. 3 swords, open the river. Starlight, moonlight, and sunlight gathered around Qinglin to form a barrier, and it collided with the blade. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the blade collapsed. Its collapse caused Qinglin to tremble, and he disappeared from this star domain. In the celestial realm on the snowy mountain, the thin line in Qinglin's hand collapsed. He retreated a few steps and his face was extremely pale. Wang Lin was also shocked, and the stop spell dissipated. He separated from the fusion and opened his eyes. Qinglin slowly said, I never saw the All-Seer, but I saw 7-colored light. When you fused, a trace of your restriction essence extended out toward the summoned river due to some mysterious force. I chased after it but was cut off by a 7-colored blade. Summoned river. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. If my guess is not wrong, then the soul in your hand is your connection to him. Through his soul he can steal your essences. This person is indeed amazing to think of such a method, but how did he do it? How could he steal your essences with a mere avatar? And there is also one thing that makes no sense. If he really is stealing your essences, why have your essences not been reduced? Also, there is something strange about this person. Although that spell looks simple, it actually contained the power of the entire world. It is not simple, Qinglin slowly said after pondering. The killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. These were things he had pondered but could not understand. Perhaps he chose a method similar to imprinting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Just at this moment, an ancient voice echoed across the snowy mountain and entered Wang Lin and Qinglin's ears. Early in my years I heard of a spell. This spell is called the Reincarnation Integration Spell. At the same time as the voice appeared, a blue light appeared in the sky, reflecting off the snowy mountain. Dao Master Blue Dream walked toward the snowy mountain. Qing Lin greets Senior Dao Master. Qing Lin was startled and clasped his hands at Dao Master Blue Dream. Reincarnation integration spell? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Dao Master Blue Dream landed on the mountain and smiled as he looked at Qing Lin. Then his gaze shifted to Wang Lin. It was filled with kindness. I heard that this spell came from the sovereign. It is said to be one of the 7-colored celestial sovereign spells. However, not even the 7-colored celestial sovereign was successful in cultivating it. The key of this spell is to go through countless reincarnations and regard each reincarnation as part of oneself. In the end, they devour each other in order to complete this spell. There are other complicated matters, but I have never seen this spell. However, I know that if the avatar created through this spell is obtained by someone else, that avatar will fuse with that person after a short period of time. Once they become one, the side that devoured more obtains everything you have, including your aura and cultivation. However many essence you have, the other party will have that as well. This spell is too evil, but once it is successful, it is very powerful. From your current state, along with what Qing Lin said and the soul in your hand, I'm 40% confident that someone has used the reincarnation integration spell on you. Wang Lin silently pondered. Although I don't know the specifics of this spell, all spells have a weakness. This reincarnation integration spell is the same. If you can devour the other party, your cultivation level will increase. Dao Master Blue Dream spoke slowly, his eyes shining. I'll help you find the person who used this spell on you. I want to see how talented this person is to cultivate a spell that even the 7-colored celestial sovereign couldn't cultivate. However, you have to kill him yourself, as you and this soul have already integrated into one. Perhaps this is a great fortune for you. Dao Master Blue Dream raised his right hand and a monstrous blue light condensed in his hand. He pressed it between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Wang Lin's mind trembled and everything before him was covered in blue light. He saw the stars fly by before him inside the blue light. At this moment, he saw the summoned river and the floating meteor in the summoned river, and the all-seer who was sitting inside the meteor. He suddenly opened his eyes in shock. Wang Lin's gaze overlapped with the all-seer's gaze at this instant. All-seer. Everything before Wang Lin collapsed and the blue light around him faded. His body trembled and he stepped forward. He disappeared from the celestial realm and went through the silver river around it. Qing Lin looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to and worry appeared on his face. Don't worry. This all-seer won't live for long after daring to scheme against my son-in-law. Dao Master Blue Dream's eyes revealed killing intent. He was also biased, and in his eyes Wang Lin was the same as his own child now. Although he had spoken calmly, he was extremely angry. He waved his sleeve and blue light surrounded him before he disappeared from the snowy mountain. Qing Lin's eyes shined brightly and he also stepped forward, charging into the sky. Before he left, Qing Lin's divine sense spread across the celestial realm. Senior Hongshan and Senior South Cloud. Wang Lin was schemed against by someone named All-Seer. I'm heading over, will you two come with me? Master Hongshan's aura erupted from the center of the celestial realm. He flew into the sky with no hesitation. Behind him, Master South Cloud pondered a bit and chose to stay. After all, there weren't many third-step cultivators in the celestial realm, and all of them leaving would leave them at a disadvantage. Wang Lin rushed out from the silver river around the celestial realm and fused with the world. When he reappeared, he was already inside the summoned river. Although he looked calm, his eyes were filled with killing intent. There were still a lot of things he didn't understand, but what Dao Master Blue Dream had said made him understand one thing. The All-Seer had been scheming against him from a long time ago, whether it was planet Suzaku or the demon spirit land. Back then I saw through his schemes once, and after he miscalculated once, he quickly came up with another plan. He used his avatar as bait. This person, Wang Lin, must kill him. No matter what plan he has, even if I don't find out what it is, it will be over once I kill. Wang Lin was filled with killing intent. His body was like a sword piercing through the stars. He moved very fast and would sometimes fuse with the world as he rapidly rushed to the place he had seen earlier. All of this happened in an instant. Deep inside the meteor in the Summon River, the All-Seer's expression changed. He felt someone's divine sense look at him, and he immediately recognized that this divine sense belonged to Wang Lin. With his cultivation level, he shouldn't have been able to find this place so soon. Someone helped him. And that person is not Qing Lin. The all-seer's eyes lit up and he stood up. Just as he was about to step out from the meteor, he suddenly turned around. He looked outside the meteor and his expression became gloomy. So fast. Outside the meteor, a ray of light was flying toward him. Wang Lin was inside the ray of light and was locked onto the meteor. His right hand formed a fist as he closed in, and he collided with the meteor. A thunderous rumble echoed when Wang Lin's fist collided with the meteor. The meteor collapsed into countless fragments that dissipated into dust. A destructive ripple echoed as if his fist was going to punch a hole through space. There was a flash of seven-colored light and the all-seer's body appeared. His hand formed a seal and waved. The destructive fire dissipated before him. All-seer. Wang Lin raised his head and stared at the all-seer. He then stepped toward the all-seer. The all-seer's expression was calm, and he didn't panic at all. As Wang Lin closed in, fire raged in his left eye and formed a sea of fire that spread out. He raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. The large sea of fire immediately turned into a fire vermilion bird. It let out a loud hiss and flapped its wings, flying toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin wasn't shocked by this. When he heard Tao Master Blue Dream's words, he had prepared for this. When he saw the all-seer control his fire essence, the killing intent in his heart became even stronger. As the fire vermilion bird closed in, fire also raged inside Wang Lin's left eye. A giant fire vermilion bird appeared before him and charged forward. Looking at it from a distance, this was a shocking and extremely rare scene. Two giant vermilion birds, each taking up half the star domain, collided. Wang Lin and the all-seer's white hair danced, and their gazes collided at the spot where the two vermilion birds collided. The collision of the two fire essences caused a shockwave that spread across the star system. Large amounts of spatial rifts appeared and a destructive wave of heat spread out in all directions. As the thunderous collision echoed, the two vermilion birds collapsed and turned into two masses of fire. One rushed toward the all-seer and the other drowned Wang Lin. Just as the fire that covered everything collapsed, thunder echoed where the all-seer was. Thunder gathered from all sides and formed a giant nine-headed thunder dragon. This nine-headed thunder dragon let out a roar and each of the 9 heads released a bolt of thunder. They penetrated the collapsed fire and rushed at Wang Lin like divine retribution. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. He was familiar with the thunder essence, and he rushed forward. The thunder in his right eye flashed and he turned into a giant bolt of eternal thunder. He charged at the 9-headed thunder dragon. The two thunder essences collided before the fire had scattered. Thunder rumbled and Wang Lin's face turned pale, but he didn't retreat. He penetrated the collapsed thunder and was now a few hundred feet from the all-seer. The all-seer smiled and slightly shook his head as he watched Wang Lin close in. He raised his right hand and his 5 fingers opened up. He reached at Wang Lin and his 5 fingers formed a fist. Wang Lin's actions were the same as his. They each formed a fist and then pulled back. Both their bodies trembled. The all-seer's face turned pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was forced to retreat, but his eyes were still calm. Your spells, your essences, you know everything I know. Wang Lin retreated and stared at the all-seer. The killing intent in his eyes became even stronger and a large amount of bloodlines appeared in his eyes. My essence, my spells, you know them all. What about this? Wang Lin raised his right hand and swept it across his eyes. 2 giant eyes appeared, and they were filled with bloodlines. They were densely packed and looked like rules. Restriction essence with my lines descend as rules. Wang Lin waved his hand and the 2 eyes before him flew out and expanded rapidly. In an instant they were infinitely large. At this moment, the bloodlines in his eyes flew out and filled the star domain. At a glance, this area was covered in bloodlines. The layers of bloodlines contained restrictions, and they wrapped around the all-seer like a spider web. Kill! Wang Lin roared, and the bloodlines around him became sharp and swept past the all-seer like a meat grinder. You and I have already become one. You are my avatar. So what if I let you kill me? The all-seer revealed a strange smile. He allowed the countless lines of blood to cut him up, and his body collapsed. With this, the aura of a soul that only Wang Lin could see flew out from the All-Seer's collapsed body. Whether Wang Lin was willing or not, it flew into his body and fused with the All-Seer avatar soul inside him, making it a bit stronger. At the moment the All-Seer's avatar's soul became stronger, Wang Lin immediately felt the All-Seer's aura appear in another part of the summoned river. Wang Lin silently pondered before stepping forward and disappearing. In that direction there was a cultivation planet, and on that planet there was a basin. The surrounding area was completely withered. Only an old man sat there. He had a head of white hair and wore a white robe. He opened his eyes and put on the same smile. His eyes were filled with blood lines, and they were complete, containing the power of restrictions. I had to trade a soul in order to obtain the restriction essence, but it was worth it. It's just that his cultivation level isn't high enough. He should have been a bit stronger. If that were the case, I would be closer to completing my plan. All-Seer revealed a look of anticipation. Reincarnation integration. This spell is indeed mysterious. With this awakening, I know now that I wasn't the first to awaken after those other two. I have awakened 97 times. This will be my 98th time. The All-Seer took a deep breath and the bloodlines in his eyes disappeared. He stood up and looked at the sky. He should catch up soon. As he spoke, the clouds above the planet churned and Wang Lin's figure walked out of the sky. He looked down at the earth and stared at the All-Seer. After seeing Wang Lin appear, the All-Seer's smile became even wider. Next time it will be in that direction. The All-Seer raised his right hand and pointed to the right. His finger drew an arc and then pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. His finger penetrated his skull, and with a strange smile the All-Seer's body collapsed. A wisp of soul flew out and integrated into Wang Lin while he was startled. Looking at where the All-Seer dissipated, Wang Lin suddenly felt a chill in his heart. What the hell is he going to do? Wang Lin silently pondered. Then he immediately recalled the direction the All-Seer had pointed to. He felt All-Seer's aura there. This aura seemed to be calling him, waiting for his arrival on the cultivation planet. The wind blew by and landed on Wang Lin, but it couldn't take away the chill he felt in his heart. He raised his head and looked into the distance. In the distance, the All-Seer's aura became stronger and stronger, revealing his arrogance. In Wang Lin's eyes, he seemed to be able to see a giant shadow in the distance. This shadow wore a white robe that covered up its body, revealing only a pair of eyes that stared at Wang Lin. All of this was fake. This was an illusion created by the chill in Wang Lin's heart. He's waiting for my arrival, Wang Lin murmured. His eyes revealed a strange light. Wang Lin was not just a reckless man. He had the mind of a devil. The battle against the All-Seer often required the mind. The All-Seer is good at scheming. He is leading me to various places so I can absorb his avatars, causing the avatar soul inside me to grow in order to achieve some purpose. Could that purpose be to possess me? On the surface, it should be possession. However, with how cunning the All-Seer is, he may have another purpose. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the world before him. The All-Seer effortlessly copied all the essences I spent thousands of years to obtain after going through many life and death situations. How can that be done so easily? I don't believe he can perfectly obtain all my essences, it's impossible. Wang Lin charged forward toward the All-Seer's aura. I, Wang Lin, don't believe it. Since you, the All-Seer, want me to come, then I'll come. So what? Wang Lin's expression was extremely gloomy, and he continued to ponder as he flew toward. Reincarnation integration spell. If he has really mastered this spell, then his strength will be beyond imagination. Over the countless years, I couldn't have been the first to integrate with one of his avatars. That means there has been other people who have suffered something similar. Their everything was copied by the All-Seer. But if that's the case, then the All-Seer would definitely have more essences than just the ones he stole from me. He should have many essences by now. If that's really how it is, this reincarnation integration spell is simply too incredible. But if that were really the case, then wouldn't all the Grand Empyreans on the immortal astral continent be fighting over it? If this was really true, what need would there be to cultivate or Tao, learn spells or comprehend essences? As long as you cultivate this spell, then whether it is the Grand Empyreans, the Celestial Country, or the Ancient Country, they would all be mere ants. I'm confident that this spell must have a great flaw, and it's big enough to be fatal. Aside from this fatal flaw, this spell might not even be able to really copy essences. As Wang Lin flew through the stars, he recalled his battle against the All-Seer using essences. Fire, thunder, and karma. Those collisions of essences replayed in Wang Lin's mind, and he carefully observed them. No clues. Wang Lin frowned and suddenly stopped. His eyes shined brightly and he began to ponder. A moment later, he revealed a decisive gaze and disappeared in a flash. In another part of the summoned river, among the rubble, the All-Seer was sitting on a meteor and looking ahead. He still had that strange smile on his face. This time he came a bit late. Disciple compared to teacher, you're still too young. Shortly after, a ray of light arrived. As ripples echoed, Wang Lin stepped out. He moved very fast and instantly arrived within 1,000 feet of the All-Seer. He landed on a rock and stared at the All-Seer. The surroundings were completely silent. Wang Lin didn't speak, he just looked at the All-Seer. Then he suddenly smiled and began laughing. Wang Lin sat down and the gloominess on his face disappeared and was replaced with calmness. All-Seer, are you satisfied with my essences? Wang Lin smiled, looking very relaxed. Not bad, but a bit less. It is still not enough to completely satisfy me. The All-Seer smiled and nodded. Unfortunately, essences are difficult to comprehend. Over the years, I only comprehended these 7. If you're not satisfied, how about you send me a few, and once I comprehend them, you can take them. How about it? Wang Lin smiled as he looked at the All-Seer. The All-Seer's eyes narrowed. Wang Lin's actions aroused a strange feeling in his heart. He stared at Wang Lin, and the smile on his face gradually dissipated. You are indeed worthy of being my disciple to be able to calm down so fast. Since you asked teacher for essences, what harm is there in giving you one? The All-Seer raised his right hand and pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. When he lifted his finger, a drop of crystal clear water appeared. This is the water essence teacher obtained from someone a long time ago. This is only a trace of it, too little to help anyone break into the 3rd step. Teacher has had it for a long time. Today I gift it to you. If you can fully comprehend it and give birth to the water essence, then teacher will thank you. After the All-Seer spoke, he waved his right hand and the water droplet flew toward Wang Lin. It floated before Wang Lin. Any more? Wang Lin looked at the water droplet before him and smiled. The All-Seer frowned slightly. He didn't like Wang Lin's current expression. The current Wang Lin made him feel some dread. He preferred the previous Wang Lin, who was like a reckless man. Since you want essences, it is fine to give you more. The All-Seer waved his right hand and a handful of soil appeared in his hand. This soil seemed to be living, and it constantly moved in his hand. He waved his hand and threw the soil at Wang Lin. Wang Lin, we can continue a game. If you can win this game, you can naturally resolve this urgent crisis, and you will receive teacher's gifts. Whether you like it or not, this game started many years ago. The All-Seer smiled again and he raised his finger to point to the spot between his own eyebrows. He was about to penetrate his skull once more. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a gust of wind flew by. This wind contained Wang Lin's ancient Dao bloodline and surrounded the All-Seer. The rubble around him collapsed and his body trembled. His hand was pushed aside by this wind and his fingertips swept by his forehead, leaving a line of blood. Don't be so quick to die, I haven't finished speaking. If I wanted to kill you, it would be very easy. You don't need to kill yourself before me to try to disturb my heart by making it look strange. All-Seer, this is not your character. You're doing this because you're worried I will see through what you're trying to cover up. You know this, I know this. Wang Lin still smiled as he looked at the All-Seer. The All-Seer's expression immediately became gloomy. Wang Lin's action was somewhat outside his expectations. He looked at Wang Lin, whose eyes slowly started shining. Wang Lin calmly smiled and calmly said, All-Seer, I ask you, even if you can steal my essences and my memories, can you steal my ancient Dao bloodline? If you can exhibit any ancient Dao bloodline power, then I'll surrender right now and be at your mercy. What could I do then? Can you do it? Wang Lin revealed a look of contempt. Do you dare? The All-Seer stared at Wang Lin for a long time and didn't speak. He didn't show any ancient Dao power, he couldn't. The ancient Dao bloodline was not something he could copy, and he was using those strange deaths to cover it up. He wanted to disturb Wang Lin's thought process. You don't have the ability. All your mysteriousness is fake. Do you think I'm still the same me from when I first went to planet Tianyun? Do you still think I'm the same as I was back in the demon spirit land? All-seer, your cultivation level can't surpass mine, and your bloodline is not as noble as mine. Your status compared to me is like an ant. I led the inner realm to fight against the outer realm while you hid yourself in the dark. My statue was placed in the celestial realm and will be worshipped for countless years. Yours isn't. I created the celestial realm and am worshipped by countless cultivators. You can't achieve this. Even if you're good at scheming, all you're good at is playing tricks in the dark. What do you have to even play this game with me? Are you even qualified? Wang Lin smiled, but his words were extremely vicious. I can give you the qualifications, but it's not me accompanying you to play this game, but you accompanying me. I don't like hidden schemes, I like open schemes. You don't have any ancient Dao aura on you. What reincarnation integration spell? You can't copy my ancient Dao bloodline. Being able to die again and again means these are all your avatars. So, All-Seer, where is your original body? Wang Lin's smile became even wider. The All-Seer's expression didn't change when he heard Wang Lin's words. He only looked a bit more gloomy, but his heart trembled. The rules of this game are not set by you but by me. In this game we will see if I can find and kill your original body first, or if you can take over my avatar in order to possess it or achieve some other unspeakable purpose. But no matter what, you can't afford to lose. I'm merely using a cultivator avatar to play this game with you. If you win, you only win an avatar, but if you lose, it is death. Now, even if you don't want to continue this game, it is impossible. Since you want to play, then I'll play with you. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, but the smile on his face never dissipated. As the All-Seer stared at Wang Lin, his pupils shrank. My original body will search for your original body. You have to be faster. Otherwise, you will lose. Wang Lin raised his right hand and waved. The ancient Dao power rushed out toward the All-Seer. Now you can die.